is not going to be able to get away with just sitting in his basement on this campaign, because we are going to run him ragged all across this country, holding him accountable for his failures.
Meantime, in addition to Pence, former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie and North.
That's right. Gotta love that it's Ryan.
No.
That's the way it goes.
Not the way it goes.
So
Even
just
the woman over your shoulder was mad about it. Vivek's unhappy.
Now you're the woman over my shoulder. See?
I am the woman over your shoulder.
That works.
Lurking.
Brad's the
always.
forehead.
Get to the show,
Brad's
Ryan.
the forehead next to me.
Ryan.
You guys should
Hi.
start taking bets over under on how long it takes Ryan in the pre-show to actually talk about the pre-show.
Especially when Hannah's not here. It's just like.
Yeah, like it is now. Do it.
So, Marc Lotter.
Your lighting looks great.
Thank you. It always
Let's
does.
get to the show.
Marc Lotter. Yeah, I was trying now. Whose fault is it?
I-
Marc Lotter, Chief Communications Officer at America First Policy Institute at 125. 126 technically, but we want you to be there a little early. And then
What? Did you have a good break?
no, that's not about me. This is not about me.
Are you
It's
still-
always about you.
Then-
Still drunk from your break?
Kenna Rose, author and speaker at Illinois Family Institute, which I love, Illinois Family Institute. Co-host of the podcast Self-Evident as well. That is at 126. Now that you know the guests, we're going to talk about this poll and about my weekend.
I think that this poll today, since Hannah's not with us today, she's
Mhm.
gonna be back Wednesday. I think that today will be a really good barometer for how much people like you compared to Hannah, based on how much they participate in the poll.
Ooh.
Ooh, I don't know about that.
Ooh, yeah.
But
Ooh,
if it
it's
goes
obvious.
well,
That's spicy.
It's totally
I like
obvious.
it.
so if you're here right now, you better be voting, because I need all the help I can get, because this will be a referendum on me, even if I don't want it to be now.
And at least he knows.
The poll, as you probably have seen since you are early and you can see it scrolling and you can see it ahead of everybody else, so we haven't started the show yet, is do you feel comfortable telling folks about folks? You wrote it.
I'm gonna rewrite it to say FOAKS.
No, we don't do that.
Oh, look at the beautiful oak tree over there.
Ulk.
There's no L in oak. There's an L in
no L in
folk.
the pronunciation of folk.
There indeed
You
is.
guys sent me down a rabbit hole with that about why there are L's and B's and words that we don't pronounce.
Time out.
Gosh.
I don't have any sound yet. Continue.
We're
You
about to
keep
start
doing
the
your
show,
job. He's gonna catch
and
up.
there are no audio
He's
cuts.
doing the job of a one man and a woman.
Yes, he
He's doing
is.
a great job.
Yes, he is. And really, who is better suited for that than Brad? Okay, who do you feel comfortable
Are you
telling
taking
folks?
shots at me?
No, about the
Oh,
Annie
yeah.
Frey Show. Yes, you do feel comfortable with like-minded folks.
Uploading now.
Yes, with everyone. You don't care.
I'm gonna change it.
No, I'm not comfortable sharing. And no, I like to hate listen to this show. I like to hate listen.
Annie, you got a live in 20 seconds.
You know that I don't have headphones yet.
Okay.
You know that happens.
Oh yeah,
Well,
absolutely.
We know some of you by name.
Yeah,
I
so
can give you another minute.
Please.
I bet it's roughly 5%, because that's pretty typical for our Democrat votes.
Sometimes I think you hate listening to the show.
Oh, that's true. Especially like in the studio. I don't go out there and hate listen. I hate listen right here.
He's the front row hate listener.
Oh, we're still going? Okay. I thought you were doing a live there.
I am
She will be
going to
doing a live. You
All
do it in
right.
20?
vote in the poll.
Okay.
If you love Ryan or if you hate Ryan,
Has nothing to do with me, really.
it's up to you.
You want to do it in 15 or do
Yeah,
you
we're
wanna
good. Bye,
Monthly
Ryan.
payment for up to 5 years or get instant savings up to $5,000. Don't miss this amazing offer. Diamonds Direct. Your love, our passion. Get details and more at diamondsdirect.com on approved credit.
The Closet Factory is magical. When they come into your garage, of course it's a closet factory, but maybe it's kind of like a garage factory too. Our house, for instance, I've been eyeing up the Closet Factory for our garage. We have the 3-car bay. We only have 2 cars, so we don't need the third one for a vehicle. But that other third bay, man, there's not a lot of organization to it. Basically, the last thing that you used is around the edge of the things that are in there. The Closet Factory can come in and give you the vertical storage you need. Use the space even on your ceiling potentially that you can use to store Christmas decorations or holiday decorations or maybe the bikes and stuff during the winter when you're not using them as much. Anyway, when the Closet Factory comes to your house, they're going to look at your situation in your garage, or maybe it's your closet, your pantry, your laundry room, and they're going to say, Let's customize a storage solution for you, and it's going to be beautiful. I am blown away at how they have taken our what was a formal dining room and turned it into an office space, and it's beautiful, and it's going to be easily utilized by people who move into our house someday when we sell it. Call them at 314-961-4300. You can find them online at closetfactory.com.
Your retirement plan was solid. Sell your home and travel. But given the economy, you're concerned if your equity will be there. Stop worrying with Truehold. Truehold will buy your home now for its best current value, then you bank the cash without having to move. They cover property taxes and more. That's Truehold.com.
Mark Cox here. If you're nearing retirement or already retired, call my friends Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw with the Retirement Advisory Group. They'll show you how to link to the market without the risk. They're the official financial advisors of my show. Go online to retirementkey.com.
Looking for a career you'll love with flexibility, great pay, and benefits, and one of the country's top workplaces? Come join our growing team. Go to progressive.com/careers and apply online today. That's progressive.com/careers.
Mark Reardon sees clearly thanks to Doctors Birdie and Maholtred Ophthalmology Associates. You can too. Go to youridoc.com today. That's youridoc.com or call 314-966-5000. Ophthalmology Associates.
This hour of the Annie Frey Show is brought to you by Ruler Foods. Low prices, no coupons. Ruler Foods.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
I think Speaker McCarthy should be congratulated on capturing a number of priorities. And the best way to look at the difference, 2 years ago, we were in the process of spending $1.9 trillion. And then last year, another $750 billion. So we've gone from one party spending $2.7 trillion in 2 years to a discussion about actually reducing government spending. So I think the American people's decision to change the House has already yielded benefits for our country. A number of priorities. Again. And the best way to
Here we go.
Look at the difference. 2 years ago, we were in the process of spending $1.9 trillion.
What is it? It's Monday. Why does Mitch McConnell sound like he's Will Ferrell acting to be really old?
I was trying to sit my head on the mic because I laughed.
The debt ceiling bill signed, sealed, delivered, and it's yours. And I think that there are things that are good about it. I think there are things that are bad about it. We'll discuss it with Marc Lotter. He's the Chief Communications Officer at America First Policy Institute in about 15 minutes from now. But Tim Scott, he wasn't really thrilled with this deal.
The biggest detail for me is the fact that Joe Biden, who we cannot trust on spending, has an unlimited credit card until the end of his term. Until January 2025, there is no limit. There is no way for us to understand what he's going to spend, except for looking back. $1.2 trillion more last time, $2 trillion this fiscal year. I can only imagine that next fiscal year will be more. The American people cannot afford Joe Biden with an unlimited credit card and no one holding him accountable until after we defeat him in November of 2024.
So this is the second time that Republicans have kind of capitulated to Democrats and given Joe Biden what he needs to be able to do just enough within the time he's still there.
Yeah, that criticism, though, is saying that there is no check on Joe Biden's spending for the next 2 years, which is not true because there's a Republican House for the next 2 years.
Yeah.
So I get why they did. I have a lot of criticisms about this deal, but that isn't necessarily one of them.
There's some good things about it, too. Marc Lotter, we'll let him give us the details there. Dirk wants to hear Mitch McConnell say hello, Wilbur.
I find there to be a lot of things to be excited about.
That sounds like if Bane were a horse.
My
Yeah, that's Bane horse. You didn't know what that was?
I thought it was horse
I
Bane.
thought I'd done Bane horse before.
Wait, what do you mean?
It's just one of my go-tos. It's a crutch. I just use Bane horse all the time.
Oh,
You
no.
merely adopted the stable. I was born in it, raised by it.
This is a serious show.
Man, it is a Monday.
Today's a good time. This is right now is a good time to talk about the poll.
Today is a good time
Whatever, leave
to
me
talk
alone.
about this poll,
It's
really
Monday.
at any time.
It's not like my job to professionally speak. Today's YouTube live chat poll, do you feel comfortable telling folks about the Annie Frey Show? Maybe don't do it right now. Give us a little bit of time to get this machine fired up and started.
We can do this.
Your options are yes with like-minded folks, yes with everyone, no, I'm not comfortable sharing, or no, I just like to hate listen.
I can't wait to see what the percentage is on that. I think we're pretty much just doing the poll to see how many people are hate listening.
There's an angle here, and I'm looking forward to it. We were supposed to have the whole show back together, but now Hannah is helping with vacation on the Marc Reardon Show. So you're going to want to stay right here on 97.1 FM Talk after we'll get done, and then you can see how Hannah does. And they have a YouTube channel, too. So you can get on the Marc Reardon YouTube channel and say hello to Hannah and make sure that you stick with us here on 97.1 FM Talk all day long. We have not done a show together for like 10 days.
The four of us.
And she's on vacation tomorrow. She's got a day off tomorrow. So it will be at the earliest Wednesday.
It'll be Wednesday, assuming nobody gets sick. And then I think that'll be over 2 weeks at that point.
Yeah, because our last show together was a Wednesday before I went to
Yeah, and that wasn't even a full show. So it was Tuesday.
Oh, that's true. Because that was when my good grief.
Yeah, so it will be over 2 weeks.
That's crazy. We are happy to be here with you. Happy it's Monday. Had a great weekend. Lots of baseball, lots of stuff going on this weekend. I'm interested to know you took a trip with the fam, all right?
Yeah.
We'll talk about that later.
Sure, great.
Was it fun?
It was great.
We'll talk about it later off the air.
Okay, great. Looking forward to that. Looking forward to hanging out with my friends.
No, I remember you saying you were going to the Ark.
Yeah, we went to the Ark Encounter and the Creation Museum.
Okay. Yeah, I'm curious to know about those things, and we'll discuss that in the 2 o'clock hour. We have Kenna Rose is going to be with us at 1:25. She's got an article in the Illinois Family Institute's website, illinoisfamily.org, and she's talking about book banning. Book banning is one of those things that is talked about all the time, and people just throw it out there, and we're like, Republicans want to ban books, but then if you dig in a little bit deeper, there are books that are being banned from being in schools, but they're not being banned by Republicans.
Yes.
It's completely the inverse.
And the books that are being suggestively moved aside, not even banned in all circumstances. Just, hey, maybe we don't want to focus on these. Once you look at them, you go, oh.
Well, that's the interesting.
Okay.
That's the interesting part of it, though, because people will show these books on social media. Or I remember when Jen Cordy was in here, she was running for the Illinois State House against Katie Stewart, and she had some stuff, and I'm like, we can't say that on the air.
Yeah, that's what's so funny about some of these parent-teacher conference meetings they'll have, and public school board hearings and things. Parents will get up and just say, you know what, I would like to do the books that you're trying to push onto our kids. Is it okay if I just read a couple pages? And they got to censor it from broadcast.
They're like, no, you can't.
Well,
you can't do that.
I've seen some of those where it was a mayor that got up in front of the whole school board and he said, I've talked to lawyers. This is distributing pornography to minors. He said, you can remove them and everybody resign, or I will prosecute you. I will have you prosecuted.
Amazing.
And I never ended up hearing what happened with that. But I mean, like, whenever you were talking about, Ryan, they get up there and they start reading from what's in the book. They're like, this isn't appropriate. There are children here. And the parents like, well, what do you think's in school?
Yeah. That's the whole freaking point, Governor
I
Pritzker.
think broadcasting our values here in Illinois is good for the state of Illinois. That we are opposed to banning books in the state of Illinois is something that people ought to know about us. That we are not interfering with the education system in the state and the way that a teacher presents, their information to their classroom, their kids. That we're lifting up education. We're not tearing it down.
So he says that we want to broadcast.
Well, I think broadcasting our values.
Illinois is doing a pretty good job of broadcasting Illinois' values these days.
Sure, yeah. They get a lot of help from the mainstream media.
And they're really, really getting their message out in a sea of red states. I was reading an article on USA Today, of all places. It was talking about how Carbondale, Illinois, is the essential mecca for abortion in like 20% of the state of the country. All of these places have limited significantly how abortion can be utilized in those states. And so everybody's going to Carbondale, Illinois. And that is not, I mean, Carbondale might be a bluer city in a very red southern Illinois. Folks need to remember, I think it's 60% of the state of Illinois' population is in Cook County. Mm-hmm. So how blue of a state we are, if you remove Cook County, you're also removing the majority of people who are in the state of Illinois. And that matters. That does count. That's part of the deal. But if you take the way of life of the rest of the people in the state, it's as red as the rest of the area that they're surrounded by. And here's Carbondale, Illinois, as the destination for abortion for like a dozen states.
Yeah, Carbondale, I'm actually very familiar with it. I lived there for 2 years, went to college there, graduated from SIUC. And it is a little bitty liberal enclave in a sea of red in the rest of southern Illinois. And oddly enough, Carbondale itself is only liberal because of the college. Mm-hmm. And it really is a conservative area outside of just the people who are there for the university. And that university, oddly enough, is also shrinking rapidly. While SIUE is growing somewhat, SIUC is shrinking.
West Virginia, Kentucky, Tennessee, Alabama, Georgia, or let's see, Louisiana, Mississippi, if I didn't say that, Arkansas, Missouri, Oklahoma, Texas, all going to Carbondale, Illinois for their abortions.
That is
It includes
awful.
Indiana and Ohio as well, but those states not as much as the other ones. When we talk about Illinois broadcasting their values, I want to slap the country across the face a couple of times and tell them to wake up, because people get so obsessed with what's going on in California, and we look at Gavin Newsom and we're aghast at how truly destructive Gavin Newsom's grasp on far left progressivism is destroying. Isn't California like the third largest economy in the world or something like that?
It's within the top 10.
Maybe not third, but it's massive. I mean, California should be this powerhouse, and it's not going to end. You're not going to turn California into, red state West Virginia or something like that. But can we have some sensibility about the way that we approach these issues? Some of these energy hearings that I've heard here lately, and they have the Deputy Secretary of Energy was being questioned by Senator Kennedy, and I think he was asking for $50 trillion to be invested in green energy type of stuff. And Kennedy's question was simple. You want $50 trillion in 10 years or however long the time frame was, how much can you lower the temperature? And he was asking about like 1,000th of a degree, and the guy wouldn't answer the question. Which means they have no clue whatsoever. You might spend $50 trillion of your hard-earned dollars, and at the end result of that, temperatures may rise. The United States is 13% of the global energy equation. If we get rid of all usage of energy and China doesn't do anything, or they continue down the path that they're doing, it does not matter. But they want $50 trillion of United States taxpayer funding to go for something that they can't even quantify. That's lunacy. And I have to think out there, regardless if you're a Joe Biden Democrat, if you're an RFK Jr. Democrat, if you're a Marianne Williamson Democrat, there's got to be at least 3 of you. If you're one of those people, or you despise one of them and you love the other, if you're a Barack Obama Democrat, you have to be able to look at the way your elected officials are willing to spend your money without even feeling like they have to sell you an actual reason, a measurable, quantifiable reason why you should be investing $50 trillion in this. And then I've heard other investors, I think I sent this to you, but it was full of profanity. And this one very, very wealthy investor, do you know who that was?
I have seen a lot of videos from that guy, and I have
don't
not
know the name
come
is,
across his name.
but he's talking about how if you're investing long term in property in Florida, there's not a single thing in any contractor clause anywhere that talks about the rising tide that waters are going to raise. People are buying beachfront property everywhere, Barack Obama, and they have no legal concern or worry anywhere, and people are still investing in all of this property. He's like, nobody would be giving out 30-year mortgages to these houses if it was obvious they were going to be underwater in 10 years. It just wouldn't happen.
And especially Miami. I mean, that is the place where if it was going to happen, it was going to be happening there.
Yeah. There has to be a reckoning of common sense. People are going to have to be willing to say out loud things that have been unpopular to say before. And you know what I'm saying when it comes, you want to spend $50 trillion to save the world? Prove to me that the world needs to be saved, and prove to me that the $50 trillion can do it, and then let's go. They won't even answer the question because it's a scam. It's a total scam. We're going to take a quick break. Marc Lotter is going to join us, Chief Communications Officer at America First Policy Institute, also the former Director of Strategic Communications for Trump-Pence 2020. We're going to talk to him about what is going on right now in this political landscape and how we can get to issue-based focus on goals that can actually measurably help the country. The America First Policy Institute, if you go to their website right at the top, they've got the plan put together. What happens on day one? They're ready to go, and he's going to tell us about it when we come back. Don't go away.
1, 2, 3, 4.
You're listening to The Annie Frey Show on St. Louis's home for conservative talk. Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
Missing teeth. Well, sometimes this is something that you have had happen to you. Maybe you lost some teeth when you were younger. Maybe they never grew in and you had to have them pulled. And the solution in your mouth right now is not really thrilling you. Or maybe it's something that you're looking at potentially having to do in the future, but you're worried about how are these going to be replaced? How am I going to be confident with my smile and also still have the full function of my mouth so that I can chew and just generally speaking, function properly with the replacements that are put in. Enter Foley Dental Group. They are there to help you with a solution to the problem of missing teeth, the need for implants, the need for dentures, in a way that you are going to be smiling as confidently as you ever have been before. Doctors Amrin and Hanser dedicate their practice at Foley Dental Group to restoring smiles and chewing ability for those who have lost teeth prematurely. They are there to help you through this process, and it's going to be one that you're going to be grateful for, that maybe you wish you would have even participated in sooner. They're taking new patients as well at Foley Dental Group right now. You can call them at 618-288-9670, located at 270 and 159 on the Illinois side, easy to get to from the Missouri side of the river as well. 618-288-9670, online at FoleyDentalGroup.com.
For a hole in your roof or a whole new roof, Frederick Roofing.
Over 90,000 satisfied customers since 1929. Frederick Roofing, 314-645-2000.
If you like to work with a local company that gives back to the community, Window World is the preferred window of your St. Louis Blues. Mark Cox here from my friends out at Window World. What a great product. A lifetime warranty. It covers all the parts, the glass breakage, the labor. You've heard me say that before. And they've been around for over 20 years. They have improved the look and the efficiency of over 70,000 homes in the greater St. Louis area. They have the Good Housekeeping seal of approval. That's hard to get, right? And that's important. They're ranked number one in the number of windows sold in the country by Qualified Remodeler magazine. Call them for a free estimate. Let them show you why they say simply the best for less. New doors, new windows. With Window World, they're now offering 18 months, same as cash financing with approved credit. 314-993-1800. That's 314-993-1800. Or you can go online anytime to windowworld.com.
pillows, but that painful burning stayed. So I made Prilosec OTC part of my morning routine. With just one pill each morning, Prilosec OTC prevents excess acid production, blocking heartburn day and night. Now I have a new nighttime routine. I call it sleeping.
1 pill a day, 24 hours, 0 heartburn. With Prilosec OTC. It's possible while taking Prilosec OTC. Use as directed for 14 days to treat frequent heartburn, not for immediate relief.
When I can't sleep, my mind just races. I think about work, the kids, but I don't think about taking melatonin because I'm afraid I'll feel groggy in the morning.
ZzzQuil Pure Z's Gummies has an optimal dose of melatonin for no next-day grogginess, so you can fall asleep naturally and wake up feeling refreshed. ZzzQuil Pure Z's Gummies for better sleep like never before. And try Pure Z Sleep plus Next Day Energy with melatonin plus extended release B vitamins.
Tony La Russa here. Men, are you running out of stamina rounding third base? If so, call my friends at Victory Men's Health in O'Fallon, Illinois. Scoring at home is important, just as important as crossing the plate with the winning run. VictoryMen'sHealth.com.
Do you have ongoing problems with your sinuses? There's a solution. Take control by calling the St. Louis Sinus Center. Mark Cox here. I'm a satisfied customer. Dr. Gould is a leader in the industry and specializes in balloon sinus dilation. It's a proven procedure to treat sinus issues. Stop procrastinating in sinus infections once and for all. Call 314-473-5433 or go online to STLSinusCenter.com.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Warmer days are coming. Time to schedule your annual AC system check for as little as $15 a month. For any residential or commercial HVAC services, visit aircomfortservice.com.
Second Amendment Radio is a staple of solid firearm information on 97.1 every weekend. Saturday from 3 to 4 and Sunday from noon to 1. It's Second Amendment Radio and the great outdoors. 97.1 FM Talk. This is the Annie Frey Show. Follow Annie on Twitter at Annie Frey Show.
No one, I promise, no one making less than $400,000 a year will pay a penny more in federal taxes. But like most of you at home, I know the federal tax system isn't fair. That's why I kept my commitment, again, that no one earning less than $400,000 a year will pay a penny more in federal taxes.
He keeps saying that. Does he mean it? Is he can even abide by that so far into his presidency that nobody who makes under $400,000 a year will pay more in federal taxes? Let's get to our guest. Marc Lotter joins us now. He's the Chief Communications Officer at America First Policy Institute. And we're grateful to have him here. Marc, thanks for coming back to speak with us today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
When you hear the president from the Oval Office making this commitment to Americans after this debt ceiling negotiation where he did come to the table and Speaker McCarthy was able to get some concessions. Not everybody likes it. That usually means there's some sort of compromise that's taken place. What are your thoughts on the president's words there?
Well, I mean, they just don't hold true. You know, we've seen time and time again where, you know, this president has actually proposed raising taxes for people that are under $400,000. But even beyond tax policy, I mean, everything he does gets translated down through higher prices through the out of control inflation that we already have. So he may not be directly taxing us, but he's taxing all of us, nickel and diming us to death at the grocery store, the gas station, in all of these other areas. And now, you know, we see this morning that Saudi Arabia and OPEC are going to cut production again, which means gas prices just in time for summer travel season are going to go skyrocketing very soon.
You know, I think to his energy policies, it seems like energy is king for Joe Biden, that's what he wants to attack the most, and the green movement is what he wants to promote the most, even at the expense of the American people. Joe Biden ran many, many campaigns and won many, many campaigns being average Joe, being like us. Do you think that the president understands what the average American is dealing with today?
Well, no, I think he probably does, but his party has been taken over by the radical left and people who think gas stoves are bad or who believe that we all must be driving, you know, electric vehicles, even though every time they do that, and I have no problem with people who want to buy an electric vehicle, go do it, you know, great. But being forced to do it's one thing, but also realize that when you're doing that, you are just empowering China because all of the basic minerals that go into those batteries and all of that other stuff is coming from slave labor in China and being shipped over here. So it is just, not only is it reducing our energy independence and dominance, it is just handing more control over to communist China. And the fact that, Democrats are total hypocrites on this is just mind-blowing.
We're speaking with the former director of strategic communications for the Trump-Pence 2020 campaign, also the chief communications officer at America First Policy Institute. I feel like this administration is very out of touch, at least with my existence here in the heartland of the country, in the Midwest. It's not like the things they talk about are the issues that we're dealing with. And at the America First Policy Institute, I refer to there quite regularly to see what the plan laid out is in print from America First Policy to say this is what we could do for these issues. I'm wondering how you feel about this Republican primary. It continues to expand, and the ability to take what has been put together at America First Policy Institute and implement it, regardless of who that eventual nominee is.
Well, and that's really what our mission is. I mean, in the America First Policy Institute, we're basically the people who were in the White House, in the administration, the last time we had strong America First leadership. And we took that knowledge, and now we're preparing it for the next candidate or the next president, the next governor. And we've got it at state level, too, because we've got to be ready to hit the ground running. And especially, with the amount of stuff that we have to undo, the damage that was caused by this current administration, we're not going to have time to waste. So not only have we put out a book called The America First Agenda, which has over 200 and some policies, both some at the state, some at the federal level, but then we're working to make sure people understand what's at stake, that we don't have to be energy dependent. We don't have to have an open southern border. And despite what the president says, the border is open, and it is a crisis. But we can take steps. We already did it once, and we can do it again.
Yeah, the results bear out a needing so desperately for this country to get back to what is truly America First. It doesn't look like the policies of this administration right now benefit America. Who, if they're not America First, let me ask you this question. If what the Biden administration is the opposite of America First, if it's America Last, what does that mean for the American people?
Well, it just means more dependency on the government. I was actually on Fox News over the weekend, and one of a Democrat who was high up in the Biden campaign was talking about, when I was talking about inflation, he was like, that's why we were fighting for food stamps and welfare in the debt negotiation. And I looked at him, and he is a friend of mine, but I looked at him like, people don't want food stamps. They want low gas prices, low grocery prices. And this is the fundamental disconnect. I mean, they want to make us more dependent on the government for resources, for handouts, for everything that we get, as opposed to that free market capitalism that built America and made it strong. They want to destroy that all unless it's one of in their favored energy sectors or in one of their favored positions. Otherwise, they really don't care.
Chief Communications Officer at the America First Policy Institute, Marc Lotter, with us right now. A lot of these are really huge issues. We've talked about energy. We've talked about the border. We've talked about, things like the debt ceiling and the budget. But I'm 39 years old. I have 4 kids. The oldest one is 13. The youngest one's going to be 2 on Saturday. And I talk to a lot of people in my orbit who are also parents, and they are seeing politics, as much as they try to avoid it, like the plague. Politics is seeping into the lives of parents who are trying to make decisions for their kids that are not infiltrated by political ideologies. It's becoming more and more difficult. What's the America First attitude towards parents and their jobs, their important roles right now in the lives of their children?
Well, there's nothing more important in the life of a child than a parent. And I think that's where we fundamentally see this. I mean, you saw the president, the White House press secretary basically talk about how that kids were the responsibility of the government. No, they're the responsibility of their parents. And when we see what these radical leftists, the teachers unions, and the woke, school board administrators, what they're trying to do to influence the minds of our young children in areas that's way too young. I mean, kindergartners shouldn't be reading about trans issues. Right. They shouldn't basically be reading pornography when they are in elementary school. And yet the lengths that these schools are going to hide information from their parents or to let the school and the child make decisions and then not inform the parents. I mean, that's just absolutely outrageous. And that's one of the reasons why we started a website called America First Parents, which is basically putting all the information about school boards at your fingertips. You can go in and find your local school board, who the board members are, when they're going to be up for election. We have model policies on there that you can take to your school board and demand that they enact to try to put pressure on them to be transparent and open, because they're your children, not the government's.
Yeah, amen to that. Parents.americafirstpolicy.com. I'm looking at this website right now. I mean, you've said to us here about how the America First Policy Institute is working, of course, on a national, federal level, but you've taken it to the states. You go state by state. Even my state of Illinois has a connection to America First, and hopefully someday, God willing, some common sense is restored to that very blue state. But even more on a local level, this is where I really believe that people listening right now in the bi-state region, in Missouri, in Illinois, can make a local difference by being connected with these types of policies that have been written out here on parents.americafirstpolicy.com to really be advocates for their kids. Because, Mark, a lot of people want to do something. They don't know where to start. They don't want to go in front and cause a ruckus. They don't even really, they just want to see that fortification of parents first in the lives of their children. But that's the line that if you cross that line towards me as a mom, and I'm maybe not as used to trying to be rabble-rouser, that's the line that's going to make me stand up and say something.
Well, and we've seen it happen so often. I mean, I remember I've been in this game, in politics for a really long time. I remember back when we had soccer moms, and we had, all the various terms that we would call suburban voting blocks or women voting blocks. Now it's angry moms. And the one thing you don't want to do is make mom angry. And what we're seeing is, regardless of the politics of it, these parents, regardless of their leanings, are outraged when they're being told that they basically don't have a voice, don't have any say in what's being taught to their children, and that you are literally going to be labeled a terrorist if you just stand up at a school board meeting and ask for answers or ask questions. And so that's what we're trying to do, because the left has gamed this system. In many states, I can't speak to Illinois or Missouri specifically, but in many states, school board elections are hidden. They're hidden in a primary. They're hidden in the off year where no one's really coming out. No one's really paying attention. Mm-hmm. And that's so the teachers' unions can basically get their people out, and through their active notices, they'll basically go get their people elected. Well, now we're saying, you know what? Why not put them on the same ballot with Congress? Why not put them on the same ballot with the president or the governor when you know there's going to be a lot of people showing up, and then we can actually have an honest discussion, a fair and open discussion about what way our schools should be going.
Yeah, I agree with that wholeheartedly. You would want to have the most the most people show up to weigh in on these issues, you would think. I'm going to give you an opportunity, Mark, to respond to somebody who's commenting with us as we stream live on our YouTube channel, usually of the other side persuasion, always respectful about it. But this person says, I would say Democrats are more America first than Republicans. American Rescue Act, Inflation Reduction Act, 11 million jobs created since 2021, lowered prices on insulin, tons for American workers. How do you respond to the people on the left who say you guys aren't even the America First party in politics these days?
I mean, that's just a joke, and I would encourage the person who wrote that to actually do some research, because the American Rescue Plan caused the inflation crisis that we're in. In fact, even Larry Summers, who was Obama's top economist, warned Biden not to do it or it would cause inflation. The Inflation Reduction Act didn't reduce inflation. No one's opposed to lower cost insulin, but that's not what the issue is for the vast majority of the American people when they can't afford groceries. I mean, you got to think, prices have gone up more in 2 years under Biden than they did under 4 years under Trump.
Yeah.
I mean, think about that. They have risen twice as fast, and he's not even done yet.
Yeah. I mean, I know what my existence is. I know that the dollar doesn't go as far throughout the course of the month as I want it to. I know that prices have continued to go up, and I know that you can look all over the place. People are pulling back on their spending right now. And the other interesting thing, these jobs created since 2021, if I shut all the jobs down from being able to be performed and then allow people to go back to work because big government has put themselves in a position to keep people from working and then allow them to come back, that's a really weird statistic to try to use to prove to people that you're the job-creating party.
And I get it. For the last 20 or 30 years, much much about the economy has focused on the unemployment rate. That's not it right now. Most Americans are not worried about losing their job. They're worried about paying their bills. And each and every month, because in that same jobs report that your liberal friend didn't post about, in that exact same jobs report, in every jobs report he's had since he's taken office, it says people's paychecks haven't gone up as fast as inflation, which means my paycheck is going less and less and less.
Yeah.
And it was last winter when we had people up in New England saying, I either can afford my utility bill or to buy groceries. That's not how we do things in America. That is how Joe Biden did things in America. And the one thing that I always say over and over again, Annie, is that, look, you know what? We had to survive Carter to get Reagan. And so we can survive the disaster that is Joe Biden, Jimmy Carter 2.0, to get something better on the other side, because I get it. There were people out there who didn't like his tweets or didn't like name-calling and whatever, but I bet you many of them right now are saying, boy, I'd like to have that cheap gas back.
Amen.
I'd like to have my 401k back the way it was, my retirement or my kids' college education fund, because I can't afford all of this.
Yeah.
And I think because we basically – the American people handed the reins to the radical left. Well, this is what you got. Crime, border, inflation, war in Europe, gas prices. Now is the opportunity for us to take it back and go, you know what? We gave you a shot. It didn't work. I am not better off now than I was 4 years ago. And we'll give it back to the people who have the ideas about how to get things going again.
Marc Lotter with a lot of the answers that a lot of people are looking for, and it's all there at the AmericaFirstPolicy.com website. And I really encourage individuals, if you're parents, if you're grandparents, and you want to be involved in your local education situation, you need to go to parents.americafirstpolicy.com. Thank you, Marc. Always a pleasure to speak with you.
Thank you.
We'll talk to you again soon. Marc Lotter, the Chief Communications Officer at America First Policy Institute. He's also the former Director of Strategic Comms for Trump-Pence 2020 and the former Special Assistant to President and Press Secretary to Vice President Mike Pence. Not Vice President Mark Pence. He was the shadow guy. Marc Lotter just heard it. He's like, I'm never doing that show again. No, Mike Pence. Mike Pence is a guy. He's just not officially announced yet, though, right?
Man, I don't know. I don't think he's made an official announcement, but he is definitely running.
I have my key in my pocket that gets me in and out of the building.
Mm-hmm.
It's in my pocket, but it's also stuck to the chair that I'm on. We should take a break so I can get unstuck from the chair.
Or we could just sit here while you're trying to get unstuck from the chair.
No, let's play the music. Let's get Ryan Wiggins in here to clean things up a bit. Man, imagine that sentence that just came out of my mouth. He's going to be back. I'm excited to talk to him. He's got the Monday roundup, and we'll find out all of the stories. I wonder if there'll be stories he missed from just the weekend or maybe his little bit longer break. We'll be back with Wiggins in a minute. Don't go away.
The Annie Frey Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe. Interact with Annie on Facebook. The Annie Frey Show.
STS-armory.com is the website. If you were looking in the market for a firearm purchase in the state of Illinois, it's complicated, isn't it? The relationship with people who support the Second Amendment in the state of Illinois. It's complicated, but that doesn't mean it's not worth it. But you already know this. You want people in the business who are there to advocate for you, that know the laws, that know the process, and are going to help you get where you need to get with that purchase. Maybe it's to acquire a FOID card for the very first time. People in Missouri are like, what in the lack of freedom is a FOID card? Well, if you're in the state of Illinois, you need to have one. If you are looking to conceal and carry, you need to go through the process to get the education so that you can conceal and carry legally in the state of Illinois. The good news is that when you go to Katie and Jesse at STS Armory and you see the instructors that they have there, you're going to say, I'm really glad I did this. I went through this. And then, of course, you'll be in compliance with the law. STS Armory, they're my asset. They are my friends, and I hope that you make them that as well for you. You can find them in Pontoon Beach at the corner of Highway 111 and South Drive. 618-931-GUNS, 618-931-GUNS, STS-armory.com.
Updating your home with James Hardie siding has never been more popular. With all of the options available, you need a partner to maximize your investment. The rising prices on vinyl siding has made Hardie siding a great alternative. Siding Express is ready to refresh the appearance of your home or totally transform the look by installing Hardie Shake, board and batten, lap siding, or a stone accent to make it your dream home again. Siding Express is an elite preferred James Hardie contractor. Need ideas? Go to sidingexpress.com and schedule a free, no-obligation consultation today.
Hi, this is Thomas Helbig with the Retirement Advisory Group.
Hi, I'm Bob Kershaw, Tom's nephew. As a family business, we are committed to protecting your retirement, whether you're nearing retirement or already retired. What if it were possible to protect you from market downturns without having to make an emotional decision to buy or sell? What if you could take advantage of a strategy that would automatically take you out of harm's way during the bad years and position you for the growth opportunity during the good years?
The secret is in linking safely to the market without putting your principal at risk. By linking to the market instead of owning the market, you can participate safely on autopilot and lock in your gains without creating a taxable event. Go online at retirementkey.com for a no-obligation retirement review. Learn the strategies that have helped our clients retire with confidence for the past 36 years. And just for coming in, you'll get a copy of our latest edition book, Your Key to a Worry-Free Retirement. So go online at retirementkey.com. That's retirementkey.com.
On the battlefield, there's a saying America's military men and women live by. Never leave a fallen warrior behind, ever. Off the battlefield, Wounded Warrior Project operates with the same goal. Wounded Warrior Project was created to help our men and women returning home with the scars of war, whether those scars are physical or mental. Wounded Warrior Project. We never leave a fallen warrior behind, ever. Learn more about what we do at woundedwarriorproject.org.
Retired or retiring soon? How much money do you need to live comfortably? Retirement Planners of America is here for you. Would you like to have financial peace of mind? Here's how. Step 1. Find out the amount of money you'll need to retire. Step 2. Have a plan to get there. Step 3. Make sure that plan can take advantage of market gains but protect you from market losses. Discover how to do all three with a free consultation at 800-508-6108. That's 800-508-6108.
All investments involve risk, including losses. Past performance does not guarantee future results.
If you owe the IRS, you have a legal issue, and you need the Lance Drury Law Firm. We'll protect your rights. Log on at lancedrurylaw.com or call us toll-free at 888-367-6512.
Coming up at 1:25, Kenna Rose is going to be on the show, author and speaker at Illinois Family Institute and co-host of the podcast Self-Evident, talking about book bans specific to Illinois, but it has national implications as well. Time right now, 12:46. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
You could be watching this right now. Tune into the Annie Frey Show live stream. YouTube, Facebook, Rumble, Twitter. You know what? Just type in Annie Frey Show live stream.
This is a great song. I don't care what you say.
Yeah. It's one of the easiest to cover, too. You don't, as long as you know bop, you can kind of do the
No,
most
that's not
important
true,
part of it.
because what happens after bop? No, that's Yabba Dabba Doo. That's Yogi Bear.
That's my point, is that you can kind of do whatever you want with it. It's
you?
a blank canvas.
He
Thank
says
you
that
so much to him.
over the verse.
Prove it.
That's true. That's what I said.
We're getting ready to go in, Ryan.
Prove it. You sound like Adam Sandler doing Yogi Bear. Dabba dabba doo.
Yeah. Yep. That's the sweater song. I have a number of stories here, all of which are important. That's a joke. Some of which are important,
You
some
just
of which
pretend.
are not.
That's
But
what I do.
I'm telling you ahead of time, stick with me for at least 5 minutes here, because by the end, the best
Ryan.
one I'm saving for last.
Ryan,
The DeSantis story.
did you just tell people that you were going to do boring radio for
No.
5 minutes, but if you stick around, you might do something interesting?
I did not. I said some of these are interesting stories. Some of these are worthless stories. I gotta tell you that ahead of time. But the last one, the DeSantis one, is the purpose of the whole segment. First, Utah district bans the Bible in elementary and middle schools due to vulgarity or violence. We've been talking about this topic quite a bit today. There is a lot of violence in the Bible.
There is some vulgarity in it as well.
Yes, there is.
Ooh, which books? For the kids at home.
That's actually kind of where I was headed with this. Is it going to have the reverse consequence that people go, ooh, there's banned, now I got to read it. Because if that's the case, then go for it. But the Bible ban is not the first of its kind. This is a Utah school district that was previously removing other books from libraries after a 2022 state law
You're terrible at
required schools to consider parents' input on age-appropriate books. So this was a petition put forth by a number of parents who said, oh, yeah, you're going to start banning pornography? Then they said, quote, get this porn out of our schools. And this has offensive language in it.
And they're talking about the Bible.
They're talking about the Bible. Yeah. So I would have to say that at least we're agreeing.
Is it naive for me to not realize that the Bible was permitted?
I mean, they have copies of the Bible in libraries, in school libraries, which I don't know that it's being taught, though.
I'm actually more surprised that the Bible is present.
that it had been present up until now.
I kind of count this as a win.
Right? Yeah, and it's still present in high schools. They said, well, it's if we're going to ban it, we're just going to ban it in lower schools because that's the purpose of the law.
Uh-huh.
I got to say, we talked about this a little bit with the Taylor Swift thing and drag show laws. We got to be better.
I don't know what you're talking about with Taylor Swift and drag show thing.
Okay, so when they wrote these laws concerning kids attending drag shows, they had unintended consequences that people might not be able to bring their kids to certain other shows that might not be drag but might have elements of that in them. We got to be more careful about the way we're drafting these laws so that they can't be used for unintended consequences like people are trying to use them for. This is a perfect example of that. Ready?
Wait, I wasn't ready. Now I'm ready.
You ready now? Here's one of those that's
kind of weird.
You know how I said some of this news is important and some is not?
Which one was the last story?
That was important.
That's what I thought.
This one is not. If the trailer for Greta Gerwig's upcoming Barbie film is anything to go by, it's going to be one of the brightest movies of all time, with plenty of Barbie's iconic pink
Is the Barbie movie not out yet?
splashed across the screen. I think it comes out in July.
When is this over?
Yeah, right. It's been
We
a
did a
massive
story
campaign.
about Ryan Gosling being way too old to be Ken like a month ago.
So to be fair, when you say bright, you're referring to color palette, right?
Only.
Yes.
Not necessarily like a bright spot in the movie industry.
No, not at all. Now it's been revealed that there was so much paint used to create the sets for this project that it sparked an international shortage on the color pink.
So it's not a run on the.
No.
It's not instilling people to be bright pink
No.
about everything. They just took all of it.
It hasn't changed anybody's buying patterns trying to do more pink for Barbie. They just use so much of this neon pink because they said, I do like this. Rather than using CGI, they used real sets and they just had to plaster it with pink everywhere.
Committed to the art.
Yes. The director says, I wanted the pinks to be very bright and everything to be almost too much.
What would you say is almost it is? What would you say is, Mr. from the industry? What kind of budget do you think that they have on this film?
Oh, man. It's been a long time since I've looked at major budgets because I don't ever deal
I
with
was going to
major
say,
budgets.
what was your last major budget feature film?
None. I don't have a feature film, period. But those who I know who do, their budget would be in the under $1 million range, which is like
Does it
pennies.
seem ridiculous that the budget is $100 million for this Barbie movie?
No, it doesn't, but that is still a surprise.
And what percentage of that is marketing?
A good percentage,
Like
especially with a movie like
40%?
that. It could be. Yeah, it could be half of it.
Well, then how much of that would be like actors' salaries?
Surprisingly, not as much as you'd think. I mean, it's huge salaries. Don't get me wrong, but compared to $100 million,
Like compared to radio?
Ryan Gosling, pretty much a household name. He would probably get. I would guess no more than $10 million for that, which is a lot of money.
but that's not a huge portion of the budget.
You spend so much of your budget on marketing. Is that why you make sure that people write stories about how much paint was used in this film so that it's also out there, but you didn't pay for it?
No doubt about it. That is absolutely a part of it. However, I looked up the origins of this story, and they were not from a PR company. They were just from.
This?
Yes,
Thank you.
I did. You're welcome.
Such a nerd.
Because I thought the same thing. I'm like, this is just to get more attention for it. No, it actually is a story. Forbes reported on it. They found it to be true. So there you go. You ready?
You weren't ready. That's why you asked.
No.
You needed time.
No, I was ready for that
put it on
one.
my shoulders.
The first one I was not. This one I was. All right. Mary Trump, the niece of the former president, and E. Jean Carroll, who recently won a lawsuit against him for, this article says sexual abuse and defamation. That is false. I looked that up. It was not sexual abuse. It was defamation, but it was battery.
I like how it was for defamation. So, like, that night he went on CNN and did some more defaming.
Yes, yes. And she's suing him again.
Yeah.
Are collaborating on a serialized romance novel. This is Mary Trump, who hates Donald Trump, and E. Jean Carroll are now using their publicity from this thing to collaborate on a serialized romance novel, the first of which apparently came out Friday. So they were ready to go with it. Is anybody surprised that this was used for PR?
How can somebody who... Well, I shouldn't say that. Never mind.
You don't really need to say anymore.
No. This is one of those things that I was going to say. I was going to mean something else, but it was going to sound different.
I know what you mean. I know.
Then I would get in trouble for it. So I'm just going to swallow those words.
Good for you. I just whipped that right into oblivion.
Thank
All
you.
right. The last one.
For the
This is the
phrasing.
best. This is the best. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, a presidential candidate, snapped at a reporter who asked him about taking questions.
This is the payoff.
From those present at his campaign event in New Hampshire.
Snapped at a reporter.
Snapped at a reporter.
Unlike Trump.
Yes. The headlines are all, are you blind? He's yelling at people. Here's the actual audio.
Okay.
Why not take any questions from voters, Governor? Governor, how come you're not taking questions from voters? Stop coming up to me, talk to me. What are you talking about? I'm not here murder with people. Are you blind? What? Are you blind? I'm not blind. Okay, so people are coming up to me, talking to me, whatever they want to talk to me about.
He is literally surrounded by people trying to get pictures, asking him questions. This reporter having to break through the people. Why won't you take questions from people?
Are you blind?
He goes, are you blind?
I'm surprised the headline wasn't DeSantis comes out against blind people.
Yes, exactly.
That'll be tomorrow. I want credit for that. Mbop. Ba-doop-dop. That's kind of what that segment sounded like.
Yep, we were whipping through it.
All right, stick around more when we come back.
I'm back to doing what I love and more. Thanks to the Good Feet Store.
Hi, this is Arnold, owner of the Good Feet store. Have you been suffering with foot pain, knee pain, low back pain, or plantar fasciitis? You may be thinking there's no way that something as simple as the Good Feet store can help you.
My feet would just ache, my back, my ankles. I finally said, I'm going to do this. And I'll be darned if it didn't work. I feel a million times better than I ever did.
No shots, no surgery, no medication.
Call 314-317-9494 or visit one of our 2 locations on Olive west of I-270 in the Plaza with Subway or in Shiloh, Illinois across from Deerberg's.
Thanks to the Good Feet store.
Individual results may vary. Consult your physician for medical conditions. Visit the website goodfeetstlewis.com. Good Feet arch supports fit in all your own shoes. Come to the Good Feet store for a free test walk today. You can try it before you buy it.
Boy, they make my job easy at Fountains Family Dentistry. People continue to give great feedback. This is from Rebecca. It says they are very friendly staff who provide great service and feedback. It is not usually pleasant to go to the dentist, but I enjoyed my experience today. Definitely helps to see a friendly face. And it really does, because when you go to the dentist, it's usually not something that you're looking forward to doing. Some people even have pretty bad dental anxiety. So if that's you, or if you're just dreading doing it, trying to get it on the calendar, they make it as easy as possible. Not just by having hours that are right there for your schedule, early some days, late some days, depending on your schedule, you can go either one of those. But because they are so friendly, they make the experience enjoyable, and you leave knowing that you got great care. Dr. Ty Parker has been a friend of mine for a long time, and he has always had state-of-the-art equipment no matter what he does. He's just a state-of-the-art guy, and he transfers that to his practice. Visit them online, fountainsfamilydentistry.com. You can make an appointment right there, too, fountainsfamilydentistry.com.
Right now at Diamonds Direct, whether you buy a $3,000 diamond pendant or a $30,000 designer ring, you can spread your payments up to 5 years. Or if you prefer, you can get on-the-spot savings as much as $5,000. And everything's included. Exquisite diamond rings, earrings, bands, bracelets. It's our best offer of all time. You can pick a low monthly payment for up to 5 years or get instant savings up to $5,000. Don't miss this amazing offer. Diamonds Direct. Your love, our passion. Get details and more at diamondsdirect.com on approved credit.
Who will dare to find a new way to think about energy? One that connects our lives like never before and creates a world where we can breathe easy. NewScale dared by making 24/7 carbon-free energy a reality with our Voyager SMR power plants. Let's see how bright the future can be when cleaner, safer energy is available to all. NewScale. Power to the world. Power for all humankind. Discover the future of energy at newscalepower.com.
KFTK FM Florissant. From the Under Law Injury Lawyers, GetJim.com studio. 97.1 FM Talk. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
A closed-door meeting on Capitol Hill. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News. The FBI showing top lawmakers on the House Oversight Committee a document Republicans have been demanding showing a claim of possible misconduct by then Vice President Joe Biden.
It suggests a pattern of bribery where payments would be made through shell accounts and multiple banks. There's a term for that. It's called money laundering.
House Oversight Chair James Comer says the document is consistent with what had been reported about the claims. The committee's ranking Democrat, Congressman Jamie Raskin, says it was President Trump's attorney general and federal prosecutor who decided not to continue a probe of the claim.
But not only were there no criminal charges, there was no escalation of the FBI's investigation that was ordered by Scott Brady or by Attorney General William Barr. They all signed off on ending that investigation.
He says he can't confirm a comment made by Comer that the investigation isn't over. 3 lawyers for Trump declining comment after a meeting at the Justice Department.
The attorneys for the former president are handling the case involving classified documents found at Mar-a-Lago. It's not known who they were meeting with. Special counsel Jack Smith is handling the case for the federal government. He is the one who will ultimately decide if charges will be filed in the investigation. It has been reported a federal grand jury has been looking into the case. There are also published reports that an audio recording exists of the former president discussing one of those documents. The former president claims he's done nothing illegal.
Fox's Gernal Scott. Federal investigators hiking to the site where a business jet slammed into a mountain, killing 4 people after causing a scare in D.C. airspace yesterday. The pilot unresponsive to flares from scrambled fighter jets. America is listening to Fox News.
I'm Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I learned about atrial fibrillation the hard way. My symptoms would come and go. Shortness of breath, fatigue. I kept going. Then I got so lightheaded, I couldn't. My doctor said I have AFib, so I'm about 5 times more likely to have a stroke. Other symptoms, irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain can come and go, but the risk of stroke stays. If you have symptoms, tell a doctor. Visit notimetowait.com.
Sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
Simply Safe was named Best Home Security of 2023 by U.S. News and World Report. But we don't do what we do for the accolades. We do it to protect you and everything you love. Our advanced sensors, indoor and outdoor HD cameras, and hazard detectors are powered by live 24/7 professional monitoring, so you get emergency help fast. Get 20% off any new system with Fast Protect monitoring at simplysafe.com/radio. There's no safe like Simply Safe.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Kind of a quiet afternoon, partly to mostly sunny skies, a little bit of haze in the upper levels of the atmosphere. 88 for the high today. Tonight, partly cloudy, 58. Evening temperatures dropping out of the 80s. Tuesday, partly to mostly sunny skies, quiet day, but a little bit warmer, 92. Wednesday, partly sunny, a few spot afternoon thunderstorms, and 85 on Wednesday. This is 97.1 FM Talk Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Stewart's American Mortgage and the Bagel Loan accessible to you when you call 314-324-4440, or you can text 314-324-4440. Contacting Stewie about your mortgage situation. If you're trying to secure a new mortgage for a house that you're looking to buy and you want to become the most aggressive offer on there and you want to make sure that you are going to win the offer because you really want to get this house, you go to Stewie and you ask him about the bagel loan and you make sure that the conversation surrounds how you can save on closing costs. You're not going to pay anything on closing costs. That's what the whole bagel loan is about. No closing costs. This can save you thousands of dollars on that offer that you're going to put in the house, and that's upfront money. That makes a big difference. If you're looking to refinance, I want you to talk to him about the bagel loan, and he can help you get a refinance on your home. Maybe you need to get a lower rate because you got your mortgage a few months ago when rates were super high. He's there to help you and walk you through the whole process, and he's only going to go through this if he can actually help you. He's not going to do business with you if it's not what's ultimately the best for you. 314-324-4440. You can Google the bagel loan, NMLS number 226715.
It's all too obvious. We're being let down by the institutions we used to trust. American families are talking about a future of food shortages, banks failing, society breaking down, and what seems like the setup for the apocalypse. But instead of throwing up their hands, folks are leaning into self-reliance, investing in emergency food storage now more than ever. And My Patriot Supply, the nation's largest emergency preparedness company, has made it easier than ever for you to have peace of mind knowing you're prepared. Go to MyPatriotSupply.com and stock up on their best-selling 3-month emergency food kit. You get tasty breakfasts, lunches, and dinners averaging over 2,000 calories per day. Get at least one food kit for each family member. For a limited time, save $200 plus get free shipping on 3-month emergency food kits at MyPatriotSupply.com. It's time to prepare for what we all know is coming. Go to MyPatriotSupply.com now. MyPatriotSupply.com.
Your retirement plan was solid. Sell your home and travel. But given the economy, you're concerned if your equity will be there. Stop worrying with Truehold. Truehold will buy your home now for its best current value, then you bank the cash without having to move. They cover property taxes and more. That's Truehold.com.
For the first time since 2020, the third edition of the Karen's Cup. Beginning June 3rd, players will compete for a $180,000 prize fund. This tournament features 10 of the top female chess players in the world, including returning champion Hampi Koneru, along with top-rated American Irina Krush. It's one of the most decisive classical tournaments in chess that you won't want to miss. Catch all the action on the St. Louis Chess Club YouTube and Twitch channels.
Did you know St. Louis leads the nation in rounding up at our local McDonald's restaurants? That small change can make a big difference by supporting the building of a new local Ronald McDonald House. Please learn more at rmhcstl.com.
Keep it here for the real news. This is St. Louis's home for conservative talk.
St. Louis's home for conservative talk.
Mark Cox, Brian Kilmeade, Annie Frey, Mark Reardon, and Dana Lash on 97.1 FM Talk. This hour of the Annie Frey Show is brought to you by Ruler Foods. Low prices, no coupons. Ruler Foods.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Saturday and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong. I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
Welcome back to the Annie Frey Show. Happy Monday. We're glad that you are here with us this afternoon. A reminder, you can stream us on the Odyssey app at 97.1 FM Talk. You download the Odyssey app, follow the station, and then you can find us there, Annie Frey Show, located on the Odyssey app. And you can rewind to 12:25 and listen to us talk to Marc Lotter about what's going on right now with all of the main issues facing Americans, voters, taxpayers, grocery shoppers, people putting gas in their car, all of that. How is it affecting you? Marc Lotter's got some really interesting responses for that. We've got a YouTube live chat poll up today, too. You got some responses you want to dig into here real quick?
Yeah, since I get to do this today, since Anna's not here.
Yeah, we decided it'd be a referendum on whether or not y'all like Ryan Wiggins.
Well, they decided that. I decided that we would wait for the results and see how they played out, and then
Based
I could decide.
on bulk participation.
And I don't know that it's so much we decided. I think that's just the nature of what it is. If more people like or participate when Hannah's here than they do whenever you're doing it, it just means they like her better.
No. So here is what Kathy had to say. She says, I love this show so much, I bought the Annie Frey t-shirt and wear it all over. Always get positive reactions from fellow listeners. I wanted to highlight that one because, hey, if you get a t-shirt, you don't even have to bring it up. People just bring it up to you.
Where do you wear your Annie Frey Show t-shirt?
Mostly to bed because it's too small.
Why do you want to wear small, tight-fitting clothes to bed?
Because then they don't wrap around my neck when I turn, when I sleep. You know, if you wear like a loose... People like those big shirts. I don't like big shirts when I sleep because then they get all wrapped around my neck and then I have a dream that I'm suffocating.
So you wear tiny shirts?
I wear my more form-fitting shirts to bed because then they're a little more snug, if I wear a shirt at all.
Brad shared a room with you at Disney. Can you attest to this? Was he wearing like mini clothes? Like not like Disney mini clothes.
I'm wearing mini clothes.
Brian walks out of the bathroom in his mini costume.
I can't believe I'm going to say
bed.
this on air. He wore shirts, but he didn't wear pants.
You didn't wear pants?
No, I wear boxers. We weren't sleeping in the same bed. Didn't matter.
You remember the day we went in for a break? Just a midday kind of nap break. Ryan's like, all right, I'm going to take a nap. I was like, cool.
Pants
so I
off.
use the bathroom, and I come out, and his shorts are on the floor, and he's wrapped in a blanket. I'm like,
at least he wrapped himself in a blanket.
Ryan.
You can't just
Did you take your pants off? He's like, yep.
You can't do your buddy here a favor and just keep some pants or shorts
I was wrapped up like a caterpillar. He couldn't see anything.
He could see your shorts on the floor. That's all he needed
maybe
to
I should
know.
have hidden those. What did you
pulled the
want?
fire alarm.
I wanted you to leave your clothes on.
No, you didn't. You wanted me to have a good nap so that I was fun to be around. That's what you wanted. I also want to highlight this comment from Joe. It says, I voted in this poll, everyone, but that was really hard for me to answer. I love the Annie Frey Show and I love engaging in political conversations, but times are polarized, so I'm more mindful of how I bring up politics.
Yeah. I don't doubt that at all. I have no idea how this poll is going to shake out. Do you feel comfortable telling folks about the Annie Frey Show? Yes, with like-minded folks. Yes, with everyone. No, I'm not comfortable sharing. Or no, I just like to hate listen. I don't know how this is going to turn out, but I do get it that if you were to tell someone, oh, I heard this thing on the Annie Frey Show, if people are like, what's that? And you got to start explaining it, you might just not say it to begin with. Now imagine that being your name. I walk up to people all the time. I'm like, you know what? Never mind. I'll just go back home. Just go home and sit by myself.
You should have named it somebody else's name.
I should have. The Annie Frey Show.
Like Joe Smith Show.
Nobody
on the show.
I want to talk about The View because The View, you would think that a show called The View, it is called The View. It's not The Views.
True.
It's a singular view.
The View.
Tim Scott got a lot of hate from The View when he went on there the first time. Does that surprise anybody?
No.
If he's going to go on there and they're going to do what The View does to people like Tim Scott, that can't be too incredibly shocking. Well, Tim Scott decided that he would go on The View, and that was today. And so I got a few clips here, and I want to play them because I cannot say to you the words that he said and have the impact that he says when he says them. Listen to him talking to them.
You are the first black senator elected in the South since the Reconstruction. That would be about 114 years. Yet you say that your life disproves leftist lies. And
Yes.
my question to you is, I'm the exception, right? You're the exception. Maybe even Miss Whoopi Goldberg is the exception.
Oh, she's definitely the exception.
But we are not the rule. And so when it comes to racial inequality, it persists in 5 core aspects of life in the U.S. Economics, education, healthcare, criminal justice, and housing. At nearly every turn, these achievements were fought, threatened, and erased, most often by white violence. You have indicated that you don't believe in systemic racism. What is your definition of systemic racism?
When I hear that question being posed by Sunny Hostin, and I'm sitting here thinking, man, Tim Scott to just sit there and listen to the way that is being laid out to sit there calmly, to let her get it all out. Good on him, because she's doing more to harm herself with her own words without him even speaking. To suggest to this black man who's sitting there at a table with you, like, we're going to explain to you what your existence really is, because you don't really get it. Tim Scott has something
Let me answer the question that you've answered.
Or does it even exist in your mind?
Let me answer the question this way. One of the things I think about, and one of the reasons why I'm on the show, is because of the comments that were made, frankly, on this show, that the only way for a young African-American kid to be successful in this country is to be the exception and not the rule. That is a dangerous, offensive, disgusting message to send to our young people today, that the only way to succeed is by being the exception. I will tell you that if my life is the exception, I can't imagine.
But it is.
But it's not, actually. Here's
it's been 114 years.
Yeah, so the fact of the matter is we've had an African-American president, African-American vice president. We've had 2 African-Americans to be secretaries of the state. In my home city, the police chief is an African-American who's now running for mayor. The head of the highway patrol for South Carolina is an African-American.
Still
in
exceptions.
In 1975, there was about 15% employment in the African-American community for the first time in the history of the country. It's under 5%.
40% homelessness.
And 50% of the folks in our community
get 13% of the population.
You had the chance to ask the question. I know that I've watched you on the show that you like people to be deferential and respectful, so I'm going to do the same thing.
That is true.
I just am sitting here going, oh. These women that are of a diverse background are woman-splaining to Tim Scott. Why, I mean, just for a second, take in a breath, breathe it in, let it out, and then realize that these women on The View are literally saying any black person who has achieved success in this country, not just of the senator, not just of the level of president of the United States or vice president of the United States, of chief of police, people on the school boards, people who are running locally, who are in charge of things, that every single one of those people are the exception. That means that the understood and approved level of success that a black person can attain in this country, according to these women on The View, is one that only lives under the umbrella of victimization. That's the only accepted outcome that these women will approve to the face of a black man who can trace in his lived life people who worked in the cotton fields, slaved in the cotton fields in this country. Wow. I've got goosebumps at how ignorant that is and how powerful Tim Scott is in that conversation.
Yeah, she's setting the bar, because he keeps going kind of down to a local government level, then to a police officer. And he keeps saying, look, all of these people up and down the line, that's his point, have achieved a lot. You don't have to be a senator. You can achieve a lot by just being in these positions, which, by the way, I'm highlighting real examples from my own state and community of right now. Sunny Hostin, is that who's speaking here? She has set the bar so low for a black life. She has attached race to basically everything and said, if you are black, here is where you should be. Anything above this is exceptional and rare.
Exception to the rule.
Well, and that's the thing. Any achievement that you make as a black person becomes an exception.
Anything.
Because that's what she was saying. That was her whole argument. Those are all exceptions. Like, what are you doing here?
Here's the real question. How can any person, political party, organization, how can anybody help the people who she is using to climb on her soapbox? She is standing on these individuals to use them to make a political point. How can anybody look at somebody like Tim Scott, Barack Obama, Kamala Harris? Those are just 3 off the top, but also, maybe your police chief, maybe your principal in your school or whatever it might be. How can anybody look at all those people and write them off as being the exception to the rule? Honestly, saying that these people in their minds don't even get it, that they don't even have the comprehension in their brains to understand the systemic racism that exists in this country because they're the exception to the rule. How can you ever help the people you're standing on? if you don't actually believe that there's a way out. They're saying that this abject poverty and the systemic racism that plagues anybody who's on the wrong side of the fence when it comes to skin color in their mind, that is where you will always be. And if you ever manage to get to the other side of that fence, you will no longer be able to understand what it was like to be where you quote unquote came from. That is as racist as it gets. Here's more from Tim Scott.
So here's what I'm going to suggest. I'm going to suggest the fact of the matter is that progress in America is palpable. It can be measured in generations. I look back at the fact that my grandfather, born in 1921 in Sally, South Carolina, when he was on a sidewalk, a white person was coming, he had to step off and not make eye contact. That man believed then, with some doubt now, in the goodness of America, because he believed that having faith in God, faith in himself, and faith in what the future could hold for his kids would unleash opportunities in ways that you cannot imagine. Every kid today can look, just change the stations and see how much progress has been made in this country. ABC, NBC, CBS, ESPN, CNN.
Here we go.
Fox News all have African-American and Hispanic hosts. So what I'm suggesting is that the yesterday's exception is today's rule. And for us to suggest...
America has met its promise.
No, of course, the concept of America is that we are going to become a more perfect union. But in fact, the challenges that we faced 50 years ago and 60 years ago should not be the same challenges that we face today. And here's the way that you measure that. When my mother was born, about 10% of African Americans got a high school degree, diploma. Today, it's over 90%. When you look at the income, success that we've had...
That's an HBCU stat.
Well, listen, HBCU stat is a good one, because one of the reasons why I took the funding for HBCUs to the highest level in the history of the country, and then I helped make it permanent, is because I believe that education is the closest thing to magic in America. So I'm about making sure that our kids have as many opportunities to succeed as possible. It's one of the reasons why...
I need an opportunity to succeed. Because I have to go to... They're begging. They're begging.
I'm just getting started. I believe all people can see the success that I've had.
We'll be right back.
Okay.
Now would be a convenient time to go to break. They're begging me. They're begging me. This is terrible for our narrative. Get this guy off the stage. I don't know if that's what they were really saying, because there are breaks that you have to hit. I get it. But Tim Scott, lest we forget, he is running for president of the United States. The entire argument that they have made... I don't watch the show. Somebody made the comment: the only people who watch The View are conservatives who complain about it on their radio shows. Which the only time I ever consume The View is when it reaches this point, or I see it in Twitter and I give in and I watch it. But Tim Scott is running for president of the United States. He is a very successful legislator, has won multiple elections. He is a black man in South Carolina, beloved by the people who have sent him into office already. And a lot of these white ladies on The View, they are a diverse group of people, but these women on The View tell him he shouldn't be speaking on these issues about race because he doesn't get it.
Also, lest we forget, Tim Scott was not born with a silver spoon in his mouth.
No. Abject poverty.
He was not born into the Bush family legacy of politics. He worked hard to get where he's at. He is the wrong person to make that claim about.
The only thing wrong with him is that he's a Republican.
Yeah, that's it.
If he had conservative or moderate based policies in the Democrat Party, they'd love him.
Oh yeah.
They'd love him.
In fact, you put his resume up on a chalkboard, they already do love everything about it. They just don't like the conclusion that he comes to, which is, you know what, the conservative way is probably a little bit better.
The thing that I like about him is he doesn't accept the idea, like we were talking about earlier. He will not accept the idea that, hey, you can't do it. And he looks at it and he goes, look at me, I did it. And you can do it too. And whenever I go back and I think about it, like, you guys ever had help doing something incredibly difficult, or you had coaches and stuff like that in life? The coaches that help you aren't the ones that go, you can never do this without me. The coaches that help you are the ones like, you can absolutely do this. It might be hard, it might be difficult, but you can do this, and let me show you how.
It gets to the bottom of it, the distinction between what Tim Scott would want to do with the United States government that he would be essentially in charge of as the chief executive officer, as the president of the United States. Not a really good selling tool if you want to expand your power in government to be like, you can do all of this by yourself. You don't need our help. That's about as conservative as it gets. Look at those ladies on The View. The bigger government, the better they feel off with their narrative. And that pretty much sums it up. Tim Scott, I love him. If he became the president tomorrow, our country would be in such better hands. Mm-hmm. I love everything about him. And we're going to continue to showcase these different people who are on the campaign trail for what they bring, because I look at the Republican primary lineup, all of them. What a diverse group of people with different ideas, different goals, and how to get stuff done. It's good for the country. When we come back, Kenna Rose joins us. She's an author and speaker at the Illinois Family Institute, and she's going to talk to us about those book bans that are taking place. We touched a little bit about this on Wiggins America, and Governor Pritzker, he's real big against book banning. We'll see what Kenna Rose has to say about it when we come back.
God's country.
You're listening to The Annie Frey Show. Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
With the dogs running, saved by the sound of a pin-found Dixie whistle in the wind that'll get you heaven bound. The devil went down to Georgia, but he didn't stick around. This is God's country.
Air Comfort Service wants you to know that through the end of June, you can save up to $1,550 in Carrier Cool Cash rebates on qualifying systems. If your air conditioner is not running appropriately, have Air Comfort Service come out and give it a check. Commercially, if you want a second opinion, they'll do that for free. When you reach out to Air Comfort Service, mention the Annie Frey Show and say, Annie said something about you working with the HVAC systems, can come out and do a test, and I want to know about those rebates. They do everything they can to make this process as affordable and as manageable, because you need to be in your comfort zone. That's Air Comfort Service's commitment. You could also qualify for 0% financing for up to 72 months. You also might be eligible for utility rebates and tax credits. Carrier Cool Cash rebates end June 30th, so do not wait on this. Get your call in today and see how they can help you get in your comfort zone ASAP. 314-513-0091. 314-513-0091. aircomfortservice.com.
I had a nighttime routine for my frequent heartburn. I would drink milk, I would sleep upright with more pillows, but that painful burning stayed. So I made Prilosec OTC part of my morning routine. With just one pill each morning, Prilosec OTC prevents excess acid production, blocking heartburn day and night. Now I have a new nighttime routine. I call it sleeping.
1 pill a day, 24 hours, 0 heartburn. With Prilosec OTC. It's possible while taking Prilosec OTC. Use as directed for 14 days to treat frequent heartburn, not for immediate relief.
When I can't sleep, my mind just races. I think about work, the kids, but I don't think about taking melatonin because I'm afraid I'll feel groggy in the morning.
ZzzQuil Pure Z's Gummies has an optimal dose of melatonin for no next-day grogginess, so you can fall asleep naturally and wake up feeling refreshed. ZzzQuil Pure Z's Gummies for better sleep like never before. And try Pure Z Sleep plus Next Day Energy with melatonin plus extended release B vitamins.
There are a lot of smart business people out there making smart decisions by getting Rhino Shield. The latest one, the Central Illinois Care Services, they have decided to go with Rhino Shield on the outside of their building so they won't have to worry about maintenance from now on. The list is long. Joe's Tire out in Sullivan, Stonehill Wineries in Herman, they've all got Rhino Shield on their buildings. You can have it on your business or your house. Just call 877-25-RHINO. Let Darren come out and give you a free estimate as to what it would cost to get this great product on your home. 25-year transferable warranty, 100% waterproof, 8 to 10 times thicker than paint, and as a satisfied customer, 15 years in, I can tell you it looks as good as the day they put it on. You're going to love Rhino Shield. Call them right now. Tell them you heard about it on the Mark Cox Morning Show. Again, 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-652-5241 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-652-5241. That's 800-652-5241. What do you have to lose? Call 800-652-5241. Again, 800-652-5241.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Air Comfort Service is proud to support Greater St. Louis Honor Flight. Sign your veteran up for the Honor Flight today at gsl.honorflight.org. And for heating services, visit aircomfortservice.com.
The Mark Reardon Show.
We'll talk with Andrew Biggs from the American Enterprise Institute Monday afternoon about Social Security reform. It is possible, and you can't have fiscal sanity without it.
Weekdays from 3 to 6.
St. Louis is home for conservative talk.
Get ready to go crazy right here. Here we go. I'm a real bad liar. I'm a burnt toast kind of guy. Or if I try to build a fire, I'll burn the woods.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show.
Can't keep up.
Follow Annie on Twitter at Annie Frey Show.
That ever did me any good.
I think broadcasting our values here in Illinois is good for the state of Illinois. That we are opposed to banning books in the state of Illinois is something that people ought to know about us. That we are not interfering with the education system in the state and the way that a teacher presents, their information to their classroom, their kids. That we're lifting up education. We're not tearing it down.
Yeah, we're lifting up education, not tearing it down. And in the state of Illinois, we're not about banning books. We hear that phrase quite a lot, don't we? Who wants to ban books and who doesn't? And then when you get down to it, you're like, no, but Republicans aren't banning books. They're not banning books in Florida. They're not banning books around the country. They're just saying that these kinds of books may not be appropriate for small children, which, as we discussed a little bit earlier in the show, is evident by the fact that oftentimes they won't allow those books to be read in school board meetings that are public because they're inappropriate. It's bizarre. Illinois, of course, being a bastion for far-left progressive ideology and frustrating people like me every single day. Let's speak with Kenna Rose. She's author and speaker at Illinois Family Institute. You can go to illinoisfamily.org. She's got an article up there that says age appropriate doesn't mean banned. Kenna, welcome to the Annie Frey Show. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you so much for having me on.
So what's the distinction between book banning and questioning the age appropriateness of some of the literature that kids can, in some public schools, get their hands on?
Yeah. Well, I would say that book banning means the book is banned. Like, you can't find it anywhere. You rule it out. Like, you punish those who have the book. You hunt it down, destroy copies of the book. Like, that would be banning the book, making it so people can't read it in the privacy of their homes, or not just it not being in school libraries. Just kind of questioning the age appropriateness of a book would honestly be just what these parents are doing, which is kind of taking the book, showing what's in it, and saying, hey, I don't think this is appropriate for children to read.
What is the best way for people to be able to decipher locally what is available to their young children in the classroom, in the school libraries? Because there are a lot of people on social media who might find some of these books. A lot of the main headlines of I think genderqueer is one of them that has been found in a lot of libraries across the schools. And the question is, should it be allowed, and at what age should it be allowed? How does Illinois address this issue within the state?
Well, I don't think Illinois has really done much to question these books. I'm not 100% sure on what Illinois' policy is, but I don't think Illinois is for removing these books from schools. In fact, I'm pretty sure they would be happy these books are in schools, because if you consider a lot of the sexual education laws that Illinois has passed, it's pretty much just right up the alley of these books.
Have you noticed, we're speaking with Kenna Rose with the Illinois Family Institute, what kind of local groups have come together, maybe people who aren't even actually your traditional activists, so to speak? It seems like this issue has stirred some people up to have their voice be heard, maybe for the first time.
100%. Yeah, I know there's Moms for Liberty, and they have groups just all around Illinois, Moms for America. They'll join together and they'll kind of take out these books, show what's in them. I also know there are some moms who are just kind of operating on their own. I'm friends with a mom who, she can see these books are even in the children's section or just in libraries, and she'll actually go and she'll borrow them and keep them out of the library so people can't access these pornographic novels.
When you say pornographic, in your experience writing this piece for IllinoisFamily.org, do you what kind of evidence, I guess, in the PG version can you find of things that you're referring to as pornographic?
Well, I don't know if you can find it in a PG version, but I know you can definitely find videos that show pictures of the books or like highlight text in the books that's really graphic. I know there's actually a video linked in the article on Illinois Family, Age Appropriate Doesn't Mean Banned, that is a concerned mother who's actually reading some of the pages of these books, and she has pictures of what's in the book.
Yeah. Well, Kenna Rose, we thank you for coming on with us today. And I'm going to share this article because some of the stuff that people have access to at such young ages is pretty shocking. And I would also say that in a lot of cases, there are probably school districts who don't even realize that these books have made it into their libraries. And in some cases, in a very non-dramatic way, are just looking to say, yeah, that's not appropriate here. But you do need engaged parents to get involved in the process to help weed out what is in these public libraries.
100%. If we're not engaged, they're just going to stay. Nothing's going to change.
Kenna Rose, thank you for being here with us, and we're going to share that article on IllinoisFamily.org.
Thank you so much.
Yep, we appreciate you. You can go to Kenna Rose _official on Twitter on Instagram to follow her too and her coverage of this issue. How do you talk publicly about an issue that is so inappropriate, which is the entire purpose of why you're discussing it, to say these things are not age-appropriate content for small children?
I mean, isn't that should be self-evident in it? It's like, I can't really talk about this in public and it sound decent or whatever. It sounds vulgar or crude or whatever, and we're putting it in a library. If me talking about it makes you uncomfortable and we're adults, how much worse is that to put that material in front of minors, in front of children, especially young children?
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah.
I mean, it's self-evident, and I keep going back to what you and Ryan and I talked about earlier about how uncomfortable school boards got whenever they were presented with parents reading the material.
Yeah, it's kind of funny.
Like, hey, this is a public forum. We know it's a public school. There's children here.
I look at this particular issue and I ask myself, what is the solution here? What is the goal here? I think is an important question to ask. What is the end game? You and I are essentially the same age, and we grew up in the mid to late 80s, the 90s, and when we learned about these types of issues, we learned about it because this is where babies came from.
Mm-hmm.
The purpose of the conversation was procreation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember the first conversation, and we were not mature enough to handle this because I remember the kids laughing about it in class, and I felt so bad for the teacher. But we were in 5th grade before we had the first, and it was in health class, the first sex talk, and it was very much like
biological.
This is the mechanics of the issue.
Yes.
This is what happens. And it used all the appropriate terms, all the scientific terms for different body parts and stuff like that.
Now I think that conversation especially when it comes to the way vocabulary is today, you spend so much time qualifying everything that you wouldn't even get to the part, it seems like, where a baby is formed.
Right.
Which seems like something that, to me, it seems like that should be the only purpose. But sex for pleasure is the conversation right now. How do you put adults in a room to have a conversation with children about that? Add in the conversation about whether or not a child can choose whether to change their gender biologically through surgery. How do you reconcile the conversation about a child that wants to biologically transform their body into something else? And I know some of you are looking at your radio going, it doesn't matter if they cut things off or add things. It doesn't change who they are. I believe that as well. But for the sake of conversation, how do we as a society allow a child to say they want to do this with their private parts? Say that to an adult, where an adult will then oblige. Think of the details of what I just said there. If a child is able to make these kinds of decisions with their private parts, that is a very, 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 hate to use the phrase, slippery slope that I am not willing to go down. A child is not capable of making those decisions on their own. They should not be able to change their body forever at that young of an age. There's a reason why we separate what children are able to decide for themselves when it involves adults making decisions that are also a part of what is going on with that child. That is a real concern that we need to be having. It's a conversation that's already been had.
Yeah. There's all sorts of, you wouldn't let a child sign a contract on, a 5-year-old, a 6-year-old, 7-year-old, 8-year-old, go all the way up to 13, 14. You got to be 18 years old to sign a contract unless you have a co-signer with you, and you have to be within a certain age. You wouldn't allow a child to make a legally binding contract, and that's just the law. This is a physically binding thing that they're trying to do. And you're going to just say, oh, okay, well, I guess you know yourself best, and you're not going to ever change your mind on this or anything like that. Whenever you allow a child to tell you that, you're locking them into a path that they have to go down, and you're causing all sorts of things. So if they are not sure about that, there's no going back. As much as everybody wants to say it's a pause button, it is not a pause button. It is a permanent change.
18-year-old children are signing contracts for student loans, and we're suggesting that they don't even know what they're doing then and shouldn't be beholden to the document that they're signing with the American tax dollar hanging in the balance. Which is it, folks? I'm going to err every single time on the side of protecting children. Every single time. And you cannot have one conversation without having the other. Children are not in a position to make these decisions for themselves. I can sit down and have a conversation with you about what adults choose to do with their own bodies when they are in a position to make a decision that's going to transform their life for the rest of their lives. And they're old enough to understand the repercussions of those decisions. I don't 100% really think that there's much of my decision making that needs to infiltrate that. I'm pretty libertarian on those issues. I might think it's sad. I might hope that that person changes their mind, but it's not my business. When it starts, I don't understand that. I do not understand the aggression towards children and the adults that advocate for it. And if you've seen some of these videos that have come out, I mean, if you want to have a pride celebration and you can do it in a way that is not going to be pushing sexuality on children, however you want to choose with consenting adults to celebrate, I don't really think in this country I'm in a position to tell you what you get to do and what you don't get to do. It doesn't mean that I have to like it. And if I want to go to church every Sunday and worship and exercise my faith every Sunday and have that be a part of me and wear a cross around my neck and take that with me everywhere I go, guess what? You don't have to like it either. I'm not changing. The way that children are being exposed to overt sexuality as some sort of flex, very concerning, incredibly concerning. Whether it would be from I don't want to see heterosexual type of sex for pleasure with these young children at all either. Equally so. No. What are we doing? How do we come back from it? It's very difficult and yet very important to discuss. Quick break. When we come back, Ryan Wiggins coming back in studio with us for the rest of the show. That YouTube live chat poll. Do you feel comfortable telling folks about the Annie Frey Show? Your options are yes with like-minded folks, yes with everyone, no, I'm not comfortable sharing, or no, I just like to hate listen. Come to the Annie Frey YouTube channel and vote, and we'll get a few more responses from Ryan when he comes back in. Stick around, we'll be right back.
This is the Annie Frey Show. Follow Annie on Twitter at Annie Frey Show.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, and anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-700-6898. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-700-6898. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-700-6898. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds, too. Call 800-700-6898. 800-700-6898.
PreventSprainSocks.com. I want you to check out these socks. You will love them. You will want to buy multiple pairs because you're going to want them every time you're out there being active. I appreciate the opportunity to be able to talk to you about them because they can really help keep you in the game. PreventSprainSocks.com. You can discover the science of the sock by looking on their websites. They are designed to prevent and lower the severity of ankle sprains. I feel like I have the extra support when I wear my Prevent Sprain socks. It also supports my left ankle specifically that I have many times. I have had active ankles before, braces, sleeves, all different types of things to put on my ankle to make sure that I can stay in the game. And the best thing I found for myself and for my activity level is Prevent Sprain socks. They have socks for golfers as well. They have socks on pro athletes, college athletes, even my kids. I have them wear them too when they're playing volleyball and basketball. If you're playing pickleball, if you're running, if you're walking, or if you just want that added compression that is going to give you that 50% less recovery time, increasing blood flow, and lessening muscle and ankle fatigue, the answer is with Prevent Sprain socks. They're stylish as well. They come in a lot of different colors, a lot of different cuts, all online at PreventSprainSocks.com.
Hi, this is Brian with Velocity Home Buyers, and I buy houses cash. If you own a house and want to sell it fast at a fair price, call me at 314-782-3333. I can pay cash and close in as little as 7 days. I buy houses in any condition and any price range in the St. Louis area. I'm a private real estate investor who buys several houses a month, and I want to buy more. I buy inherited houses, divorce houses, behind in payment houses. I even buy my tenant won't pay me the rent houses. Do you own a house that needs updating, but you don't have the time or money for it? Great, because I love buying outdated houses. I buy vacant houses, job relocation houses, and foreclosure houses. If you own a house and want to sell it fast, call me at 314-782-3333. That's 314-782-3333.
For a hole in your roof or a whole new roof, Frederick Roofing.
Over 90,000 satisfied customers since 1929. Frederick Roofing, 314-645-2000.
I'm Dr. Nick Barnes at Health From Within Family Chiropractic in Rock Hill. At Health From Within, our mission is to transform the way you manage your health by bringing you the truth about health and healing. We use proven techniques to remove interference in the nervous system and maximize health naturally, without drugs or surgery. Connect with me at healthfromwithinstl.com And join me for Maximize Living on this station every Sunday at 8 a.m. or download the Maximize Living podcast, Health from Within, STL.com.
Whether you listen daily or you dip in every now and then, just see what's going on in the news, The Annie Frey Show. We want to know how comfortable you feel telling folks about the show. Do you feel comfortable telling folks about The Annie Frey Show? That's the YouTube poll of the day. Yes, with like-minded folks. Yes, with everyone. No, I'm not comfortable sharing. No, I just like to hate listen. We want to know whatever it is for you. Log into the Annie Frey Show YouTube page and vote there. The time right now, 1:48. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
St. Louis is home for conservative talk.
Mining for truth in a landscape of BS. 97.1 FM Talk. The Annie Frey Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
Well, my name's John Lee Pettimore. Same as my daddy and his daddy before. You hardly ever saw Granddaddy down here. They only come to town about twice a year.
Welcome back to the Annie Frey Show. Yay, it's Monday.
Yeah, it's, you know what? It's been a fun Monday, though.
Why?
I don't know. It's just like the gang's mostly back, but
Hannah's
without
not
Hannah.
here? What? Boo.
I said mostly.
No, we miss Hannah.
We do miss Hannah.
She'll be back Wednesday.
She's here, but she's got to work on the Reardon show today.
She got called up to the bigs.
Yeah.
To the bigs.
Yeah.
AAA to the majors.
We got Ashlyn, though, right?
Yes, Ashlyn's awesome.
Doing great. You want to recap a comment or two from the YouTube live chat poll, which I pretty sure, depending on how many people show up here, it's an indication of how much they like you. How many people vote on the poll? Not necessarily what they say.
Well, let's focus on what they say, because I think what they're saying, if there's a lot of enthusiasm behind it, then that means that there's a lot of enthusiasm for me hosting.
Your job today is to get people to go to the poll, which is what Hannah's job is when she's here. So we just need to see if people care about you.
And when you go to read a comment, go ahead and click on that comment that you're going to read, and that'll put it up there for the good folks on YouTube to be able to see it.
Oh, man. If the good folks need to read it.
Stop saying folks. No, but we did a poll on this, and you lost it.
I don't remember that.
You lost it. I've adjusted my dialect now. I say folks.
Yeah, but there's still a large percentage of people that said folks.
No.
They need representation. No. They do not want Annie Frey Show without representation. They don't want taxation without representation.
Oh my God.
This is an American revolution.
You've given me a great idea.
Do me a favor.
Since you have so much representation on the show, I should start taxing you.
No.
Ooh, I love it.
But you got to tell me what I get in return.
Give me your wallet.
Because right now I'm not getting anything.
Give me
If you
your
tax
wallet.
me, I need
Can I
extra
go through
benefits.
your wallet?
I need full-on socialized medicine from you. If you're going to start taxing me.
I need
I got Excedrin in my desk. That's
to
the
get on with
socialized
it.
medicine I'm willing to provide to the crew.
According to the poll today, Amanda says, do I feel comfortable telling people about AFS? Heck yes. Tell the world in all caps. How about this one from Mark? Why wouldn't we want to share our American sweetheart to the masses? Our American sweetheart is me. Let's see. Johnny says yes, voted yes with everyone in today's poll. I would like to share it with everyone. Dirk says, I am 100% comfortable with letting all folks
Stop it.
know about the AFS.
Does it hurt when you say that? Because it hurts me.
No, it feels natural. Very natural. Easy breezy. Beautiful. Even if they prefer bagels over donuts or go duty outside office windows.
Duty?
That's nice. Dirk is saying that he is sharing the Annie Frey
all
Show
the inside jokes.
with people who poop in the park.
Have you ever had a negative reaction when you told people that you're on the Annie Frey Show or like started to explain what the Annie Frey Show is?
Oh, yeah.
Shut up. You're a liar.
Commonly.
Have you?
Yes.
What was it?
Oh god, it's usually if they're liberal, they're not going to say, "Oh, I hate conservatives," because then they're going to tell you, "I hate you."
Their face says it all.
Yeah.
What happens?
Usually, if they don't like conservative politics at all, they'll just say, "Oh gosh, I can't even do politics."
That's key for
obvious.
Bernie bro.
And some people do mean that they just don't want to do politics, but you can tell sometimes people are like, you know what? I am super far left and I do not even want to touch that. So
How do you broach the subject of, I mean, the way I do it is a little bit different. If I say my name is to someone, if I'm introducing myself for something, and I mean, it could be at a potluck at church. I'm not talking about at a Madison County Republicans Lincoln Day dinner. If I say, "Oh, my name's Annie Frey," I get a pretty good indication right away if people don't know who the heck I am, or I am of absolutely no significance or importance to them, which is fine.
Mm-hmm.
Or if it's quite the opposite. So when you're talking to people, Brad, if they engage the conversation, what do you do for a living? How do you approach that conversation?
I usually say I work in radio, and whenever I say that, people lean in. They're like, "Oh, what do you do?" "Well, I'm a producer of a show." "What kind of show?" "What's a talk show?" "What kind of talk show?" "It's a conservative talk show on 97.1, the Annie Frey Show. Have you heard of it?"
Mm-hmm.
And they'll either lean in more and talk, or they'll lean back.
And then I punch them in the face.
They lean back.
So I get them invested.
What's your experience? What do you do for a living? How do you explain this?
Yeah, it's been such a weird ride for me with different parts of my career. With this one, I say I am a radio host. And depending on if I know the person's politics and I don't want to talk to them, I might just say I work in radio. And if sometimes it just stays there. But if I say radio host, then people, I kid you not.
Do you tell them first that you host Wiggins America, or do you tell them? Do you want to know the same thing?
Yeah, right out of my mouth.
I don't say either. It's amazing how often when you say I'm a radio host and they say, "Oh, like a talk show," and I say yes, then it stops.
What comes first, the Annie Frey Show or Wiggins America?
I'm telling you the truth that it's neither, because it usually doesn't get to tell me about your show. People stop. I guess
They're disinterested
it's
in you?
maybe me. Because it sounds like with most people, they want to know more about what you do.
Brad's experiences up until conservative talk radio show, there's a lot of interest.
Yeah. And with me, it's the opposite. Once I start talking and they hear me talk and explain a little bit, they're like, "Oh, I've heard enough."
How's this for your career?
It is not going well, Annie. I'll tell you. It is not going well. Like when I go talk to the bosses and they just tune out halfway through whatever I'm talking about.
Are you talking about Steve right now?
Yeah,
Is that
Steve and
Steve
Becky.
and Trisha and
if I
Becky?
talk to them and they just sort of zone out, I'm like, man, this is just not going well. How about you?
Took a really
before we
sad
get to the
turn.
top of the hour?
It's time to go.
Oh, I want to hear though.
I'll tell you when we come back. We need to know what you think. The turnout for this poll is, your job is in the balance. I hate to tell you this. I didn't want to tell you on the air, but
look, it's already going poorly.
if we don't get
on
200 votes in this poll, Ryan, you're going to have to go work on the Mark Reardon Show too.
What if we get 300? Then Hannah's fired.
No.
This is a message for all St. Louis Metro homeowners. If you want to sell your house, but only the thought of it gives you a headache, Chris Buys Homes in St. Louis has great news for you. Chris Buys Homes in St. Louis can help you avoid any headache and will buy your house for cash in as-is condition, and you won't even have to do any repairs, cleaning, or paying any fees. Just call 314-782-8000 for a fast and easy solution and sell your house today. Chris buys all kinds of houses, inherited houses, vacant houses, fixer-uppers, and also beautiful houses. All you need to do is call Chris Buys Homes in St. Louis at 314-782-8000 and let Chris take care of everything for you. Call Chris Buys Homes in St. Louis, 314-782-8000. and get the peace of mind you deserve.
With Fountains Family Dentistry, I talk about Dr. Ty Parker a lot, and I've just known him for so long. He's a good guy and a great dentist, but the staff there is really great too. I mentioned Christine, Patty, and Steve. They're all so good at exactly what they do. I'll read this testimonial to you. It says, I was at Fountains Family Dentistry today for dental work. Love my results. Patty is really good at what she does. She's the hygienist. She is really good. That's me adding that, though. The staff is very friendly and helpful. Steve took time and helped me decide what to do with my insurance. If you're looking for a new dentist, this is the place to go. Thanks. That is Jeannie who said that. And I couldn't have said it better. That's why I wanted to read that, is because all of the people there are so good at exactly what they do. Ty Parker has put together a great team of people. He knows what he's doing. He knows that Steve is going to take time with you and work with your insurance or lack thereof. And his hygienist, Christine included, they're just so good at making you feel comfortable. So visit them online, fountainsfamilydentistry.com.
Right now at Diamonds Direct, whether you buy a $3,000 diamond pendant or a $30,000 designer ring, you can spread your payments up to 5 years. Or if you prefer, you can get on-the-spot savings as much as $5,000. And everything's included. Exquisite diamond rings, earrings, bands, bracelets. It's our best offer of all time. You can pick a low monthly payment for up to 5 years or get instant savings up to $5,000. Don't miss this amazing offer. Diamonds Direct. Your love, our passion. Get details and more at diamondsdirect.com on approved credit.
Hey, Bernie Federico here. Over the years, you've heard me talk about lakeside renovation and design. My friends Matt and Dan have been in the business for over 25 years and have done everything on my home, from James Hardy siding, Infinity from Marvin Windows, and even a couple of room additions. These guys are great, and you can trust them with your home. Check out their website to see for yourself all the beautiful work they've done. You can find them online at lakesidrenovationanddesign.com. Be sure to ask about their unbelievable financing options. Lakeside Renovation and Design.
KFTK FM Florissant. From the Under Law Injury Lawyers, GetJim.com studio. 97.1 FM Talk. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
Make better choices. Lisa Brady, Fox News. That message from the White House to China after two recent intercepts coming close to a U.S. jet and ship in the South China Sea and the Taiwan Strait.
Air and maritime intercepts happen all the time. Heck, we do it. The difference is when we do it, when we feel like we need to do it, it's done professionally, and it's done inside the international law, and it's done in accordance with the rules of the road.
National Security Council spokesman John Kirby says there's no reason for China to act so aggressively.
It won't be long before somebody gets hurt. That's the concern with these unsafe and unprofessional intercepts. They can lead to misunderstandings. They can lead to miscalculations.
Kirby says the U.S. will continue to operate in international airspace and waters, also calling it a good sign that two U.S. officials are in Beijing for talks. A meeting with the FBI did not change the mind of a key House Republican.
Republican Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer says he plans to initiate contempt of Congress hearings related to FBI Director Christopher Wray.
Americans have lost trust in the FBI's ability to enforce the law impartially.
The move comes after a closed-door briefing with the FBI and viewing documents related to allegations that then Vice President Joe Biden received money from foreign nationals in exchange for policy moves. Jamie Raskin, the highest-ranking Democrat on the committee, says the move is political and threatening confidential sources.
Because they want to be able to take this document, which could be a very dangerous thing to put out in the public, and then use it for political purposes.
Comer says he plans to start contempt hearings Thursday.
Fox's Ryan Schmelz in Washington. Just getting word the convicted spy Robert Hansen is dead. Found unresponsive in his federal prison cell in Colorado. Hansen was 79. He'd been in custody since 2002 on espionage convictions. America is listening to Fox News.
I'm Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I learned about atrial fibrillation the hard way. My symptoms would come and go, shortness of breath, fatigue. I kept going. Then I got so lightheaded, I couldn't. My doctor said I have AFib, so I'm about 5 times more likely to have a stroke. Other symptoms, irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain can come and go, but the risk of stroke stays. If you have symptoms, tell a doctor. Visit notimetowait.com.
Sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
At SimpliSafe, we know during a break-in, every second counts. So our home security system is powered by 24/7 professional monitoring agents who use Fast Protect technology, only from SimpliSafe, to capture video evidence and verify a threat for fast police response. Now, install SimpliSafe your way. Do it yourself or have an expert set it up for you with new Pro Install. Get 20% off any new system with Fast Protect monitoring at simplysafe.com/radio. There's no safe like SimpliSafe.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Kind of a quiet afternoon, partly to mostly sunny skies, a little bit of haze in the upper levels of the atmosphere. 88 for the high today. Tonight, partly cloudy, 58. Evening temperatures dropping out of the 80s. Tuesday, partly to mostly sunny skies, quiet day, but a little bit warmer, 92. Wednesday, partly sunny, a few spot afternoon thunderstorms, and 85 on Wednesday. This is 97.1 FM Talk Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Back to doing what I love and more, thanks to the Good Feet store.
Hi, this is Arnold, owner of the Good Feet store. Have you been suffering with foot pain, knee pain, low back pain, or plantar fasciitis? You may be thinking there's no way that something as simple as the Good Feet store can help you.
My feet would just ache, my back, my ankles. I finally said, I'm going to do this. And I'll be darned if it didn't work. I feel a million times better than I ever did.
No shots, no surgery, no medication.
Call 314-317-9494 or visit one of our 2 locations on Olive west of I-270 in the plaza with Subway or in Shiloh, Illinois across from Deerbergs.
Thanks to the Good Feet store.
Individual results may vary. Consult your physician for medical conditions. Visit the website goodfeetstlewis.com. Good Feet arch supports fit in all your own shoes. Come to the Good Feet store for a free test walk today. You can try it before you buy it.
Who will dare to find a new way to think about energy? One that connects our lives like never before and creates a world where we can breathe easy. NewScale dared by making 24/7 carbon-free energy a reality with our Voyager SMR power plants. Let's see how bright the future can be when cleaner, safer energy is available to all. NewScale. Power to the world. Power for all humankind. Discover the future of energy at newscalepower.com.
TheDiamondShop.net, TheDiamondShop.net. Have you been looking for something that sparkles, that is going to brighten her day, that is going to mark some special occasion? Or maybe you're looking to make a proposal and you want to go to somebody who is going to walk you through that process to give you a very fair price on something that is timeless. You can find that at the Diamond Shop. They have special financing available for 6 months, same as cash. So when you go in to make this purchase, you're thinking about making these payments over the course of 6 months. It's not going to cost you anything extra to go through that. They have a wide selection of engagement and wedding rings, fine jewelry, and watches. So when you're looking to make this purchase and you've got something in mind and you go in and you need the guidance to get you from the idea that you have in your head to the actual necklace around her neck or the watch around her wrist or the ring around her finger, the Diamond Shop is going to make this process one that you are going to want to brag about to everybody else. They are that good at their job. They've been around since 1910 and they are located in Clayton right now. You can find them online at thediamondshop.net.
With each breath, allergens, germs, and viruses get trapped in your nose. Now there's a simple, easy, and effective way to clean your nose and protect your health. It's called Navage. Navage. Available at Navage.com.
Your retirement plan was solid. Sell your home and travel. But given the economy, you're concerned if your equity will be there. Stop worrying with Truehold. Truehold will buy your home now for its best current value, then you bank the cash without having to move. They cover property taxes and more. That's Truehold.com.
You're listening to award-winning, thought-provoking talk. You're listening to 97.1 FM Talk.
Your home for conservative talk.
On the air for over 20 years. This hour of the Annie Frey Show is brought to you by Ruler Foods. Low prices, no coupons. Ruler Foods.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Saturday and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong. I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
I have a personal announcement. While today is not my final show, this is going to be my final summer here at Meet the Press. It's been an amazing, nearly decade-long run. I'm really proud of what this team and I have built over the last decade, and frankly, the last 15-plus years that I've been here at NBC, which also includes my time as political director. I've loved so much of this job, helping to explain America to Washington and explain Washington to America. When I took over Meet the Press, it was a Sunday show that had a lot of people questioning whether it could still have a place in the modern media space. Well, I think we've answered that question and then some.
What do you think that's about? Chuck Todd? So is he going to do the summer shows?
Yeah, he's going to stick around through the summer, leave in around August or September, it sounds like.
It's like in media, usually you get fired and then you might you get paid throughout the rest of your contract. You're just not on air. Mm-hmm. They're like, we're going to fire you, but we need you to work.
Do you think he's getting fired? It sounded like he was.
I don't know.
He was just going to leave on his own terms.
Does he do any other shows?
I don't think so.
He's not really the Chuck Todd heavy audience.
Yeah.
No.
Because I was going to say, it just sounds like he's done with Meet the Press. And if he's got other shows, then maybe he will still do those. But
I've always just loved his name, Chuck Todd. It's two first names, like Ron Brad.
You know, they tell women never trust a man with two first names.
Really?
Yeah, you guys are liars.
Ooh. Oh, because they're using a middle name instead of a last name, so you can't track them down, and they have a wedding band where like an indentation where there would be one, but it's not wearing one.
This is really specific.
Is that what you're saying?
This is really specific.
Ryan's like, the jig is up.
No,
We've been ratted out.
Ryan, did somebody hurt you?
I'm going to point here on the piece of paper. Here's where they hurt me.
What is your thought right now regarding the state of the Republican primary candidates? Not specifically who are you pulling for, but just take yourself out of I have somebody, you have somebody, we all might have people who we're kind of rooting for on our own. If you were to put yourself in the shoes of those apolitical people who think that this is all nonsense and the idea that you would be talking about an election that happens in November 2024 makes you cray-cray. What do you think about the primary right now? Go with both sides of the aisle.
Those people that you're talking about, which pretty much decide elections.
Yeah.
You're talking about, if not the majority, at least a large mass of people who are not paying attention right now at all. If they are, I will say that it is bad for Joe Biden because as the sitting president, usually the news is not great for the sitting president at this time in the cycle. But there are so many candidates right now out sharing the Republican message on the Republican side that I think that probably, if anything's breaking through, that would be something like Tim Scott on The View or whoever out there sharing their beliefs, Nikki Haley on CNN, those kind of things.
People say Tim Scott being on The View doesn't matter because nobody watches it. That's not true. People watch it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it's daytime TV, so they're ragging on daytime TV, which is fine. I think that is a great... In fact, that was one of the best things Tim Scott said in that interview, which is, hey, why don't you change the channel and look around and whatever else is on. I don't think that was his intent, but he did say that. But
when Tim Scott goes on and speaks to the women of The View who are casually racist towards Tim Scott and Clarence Thomas and whomever else you want to throw in that mix, the people in this room right now, the three of us, we probably couldn't be more engaged. We are so far in, and it becomes difficult to pull yourself out of our mindset and to know all these details. And then you see people say things on maybe it's like a friend's comment on Facebook or something, and it's not where you normally go to get political commentary, but it ends up happening one way, shape, or form. And you're like, that is the most uninformed thing that why do you think that? And then you say to yourself, I could educate them, but they're going to know who I am and where I'm coming from, and it's only going to make the situation worse. When people go, like Tim Scott, go on The View, I do think they're making a difference. I think it's necessary. I think Tim Scott needs to go on The View and blow that narrative up right there at the eye of the storm, way more than he needs to go on to talk to Sean Hannity Tim
That's
Scott's welcome on this show at any time. Would love to talk to Tim Scott. But there aren't going to be as many opportunities for people to go, wait, what did he just say? That's brand new information on the Annie Frey Show as there is going to be on something like The View.
Yeah. when I look at the primary, I look at the Republican primary, what I see is I see a bunch of really good candidates who've got really good messages, really good different ideas and all that sort of thing. And I think that it's good that most of these candidates will be able to get on the stage and debate the ideas and sort it out. Where I get a little frustrated, a little sad is, like you were saying, there's a lot of people that aren't as engaged as we are. So they don't get to see those necessarily because these people...
Way more people like that.
They don't get to see the debates, the conversations, the ideas that are coming out of the Republican Party for one of two reasons. One, the Republicans aren't getting themselves in front of those people's eyes. But the other thing is, too, where the Republicans have to go or for their message to get out, people actually have to talk about it, and nobody's talking about it because what they want to talk about is well, Donald Trump's next indictment or whatever. So there's a whole host of people out there that really only know that maybe there's two people running for president on the Republican side, and that's Ron
Trump
DeSantis.
and the other guy.
Yeah, that other guy, Ron DeSantis guy from Florida.
That hates gays.
Yeah. And because the media controls that narrative and what they report and what they choose not to report, you say that all the time. That's the biggest way that they edit is what they don't report on. It's really unfortunate that a guy like Tim Scott, a guy like Vivek Ramaswamy can't get their message out there. They're trying so hard to break through. I think what you said about Scott on The View is spot on. I thought it was a bad idea for him to go on The View. After watching him on The View, I was like, this is a brilliant move. This is a great move.
Because he can handle it.
Yeah. Now, on the other side, I look at that and I go, okay, well, RFK has some different ideas. He's got a different view of what the Democratic Party can and should be, but he's never going to be able to get his message out because the machine is not going to let him talk about it. So again, I look at this and
he's on Instagram. He's back on Instagram.
Yeah, he is.
Reinstated and doing a space with Elon Musk at some point.
Yep, Twitter Spaces. I think that's today.
No, I don't know. Does Donald Trump, I mean, if Donald Trump goes and sits with the women on The View, it's already predetermined what the outcome is going to be.
Yeah, it's just going to be a big fight.
He's going to go in there and he's going to probably hilariously roast them one at a time. And that's going to be the story.
Mm-hmm.
When Tim Scott goes on to The View, substance. Is there a place, is there a thing that Donald Trump can do right now to expand his base?
I don't think so. I don't think so. But I also think his base is pretty big. So he may not need it to win, but no.
He didn't win the last one. It wasn't big enough last time.
Right.
To expand his base, he's going to have to change his style. And if he changes his style, he loses what he's best at doing and what makes him so successful.
I think he could do both. I think it's possible to do both. I don't know that he can.
I don't know that he can either. I don't know that he's capable. But I think what you're hitting on, though, is that right now you got a whole bunch of, I don't want to say Trump surrogates because that's not what they are, but eventually there's going to be a nominee. It's probably going to be Trump or DeSantis. And all these other candidates out there right now are presenting that message to voters that, hey, Republicans have something to offer here that you may not be considering. And they're breaking into those media spaces where they normally are left out of. And that is great for the Republican message.
It's hard to look at what happened on The View with Tim Scott. I really encourage you to consume it visually because watching Tim Scott sit there with those women and listening to it, it's always an incredibly different experience to hear something and then to see it. And that does make a difference. I mean, especially if you were to listen to Joe Biden deliver something and he had a little energy or whatever, if you're looking at him and he looks like the feeble old man that he is, makes a difference.
It does.
You can't argue that it doesn't. If you're watching, I think of Barack Obama, and if you watch the way he presented himself in 2008, had the energy of a star behind him, that makes a difference visually to see somebody like that on the campaign trail. Whether you agree with him or not, if there is a certifiable charisma that exists or a complete and total lack of it, visually, it makes a difference. You need to see Tim Scott sitting on The View. I don't believe that Joe Biden is going to be the nominee. I think that's already baked in the cake. I think the Democrats know that he's not. I think the people who matter in the Democrat Party know that he's not going to be the nominee. That I think that he is going to not be the nominee on his terms. And the whole apparatus of this 2024 election will dramatically change when Joe Biden is out of it. I don't think that Donald Trump and his polling numbers will look the way they look now if Joe Biden drops out, or what I'm saying, when Joe Biden drops out. And if I were, I don't really know how it works. Like when Joe Biden drops out, if he is to, post-nomination, pre-nomination, how does that get replaced? What ends up happening? I'm not 100% sure about what the mechanics are behind that. Joe Biden is doing well against Donald Trump in polling, national polls against Joe Biden right now. Only thing that matters is what, those 5-6 states? Mm-hmm. That's really all that matters.
So are you saying you think that the machine's going to make sure Joe Biden is not the nominee? And
I think they know he can't win.
And that Joe Biden is part of that, or he's going to find out about that?
What is the worst thing that could happen to the Democratic Party? What the machine that is the Democrat Party, what do you think is their worst nightmare?
Well, to lose.
No, even worse than that. To lose to Donald Trump.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
The resurgence of Donald Trump is the worst thing that could happen to them, which could probably be Donald Trump's campaign slogan. I mean, like, put it on the top of the list of reasons to elect Donald Trump. The worst possible thing that could happen to the Democrat machine in this country is for Donald Trump to get back behind the Resolute desk in his chair in the Oval Office and say, "Good morning, America." I mean, it will melt people into the ground. That would be the preferred outcome for a lot of these people who will lose their minds. If Joe Biden is the nominee, in my opinion, he is the only way that Donald Trump wins the election. Whatever candidate they can put in there against Donald Trump other than Joe Biden, I think Trump's opportunity to win significantly decreases. Mm-hmm. I don't think they're willing to take that risk. And I think that Joe Biden was propped up so incredibly much in the first election in 2020, has been so supported by the apparatus, as I've already called it, in the Democrat Party to make him look like he's successful. Listen to what these people are saying about them. They're like, all things considered, Donald Trump really does actually have a pretty good legislative agenda or resume. It doesn't even have anything to do with him. There's a literal report out today that says that the staffers around this president schedule his appearances from noon to 4, and they are to essentially leave him alone on the weekends. Wow! That's unbelievable. But if you look at him and you watch him with your own two eyes, no pundit needs to tell you this. If you watch and consume it with your own two eyes, there's no way that he can hang with the likes of even Donald Trump, who's just a few years younger than him, but way more capable. And then you start looking at people like Ron DeSantis or Gavin Newsom or even, good Lord, J.B. Pritzker, and you say Joe Biden could not hang with these people. I really don't believe that the Democrat Party has any intention of him being the nominee in 2024.
I'll agree with you on one thing. I think they would prefer anybody but him. I just don't know that they're going to have a choice. I think
from
Joe
your lips
Biden,
to God's ears.
Joe Biden is going to just go until he can't go, and they're not going to be able to tell him to stop.
Do you really think that they have that they don't have a choice? I mean, they could literally just let RFK on the debate stage with him, so it wouldn't be anybody but Biden, because there are people out there that they don't want because RFK's policies and whatever is old school Democrat.
They don't want him.
They don't want him.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think you literally put anybody on if they wanted to sink him and not do it on his terms, they just put anybody they want on that debate stage with Joe Biden and they let them talk it out.
You think the Democrat Party, you think there are not snakes in the Democrat Party right now who know exactly what to do, where to go, what to leak to make sure that Joe Biden is publicly eviscerated and destroyed? I'm of the mind that pretty much anybody who's been in public office for a decade, there are people who know where the bodies are buried, and that horse trading takes place because you need an agreed-upon outcome. President Biden here's the outcome that you're going to agree to. This is what we need. You tell us how we get there, but this is how it's going to go. I just don't think that he can. I don't think he can win for him, and I think that he's been as useful to them as he can possibly be, and useful at that.
Sure, all of those things true. I just also believe that while they are scared to death of him in 2024, they have him so under control, and I mean just with policy.
If he doesn't make it, they don't.
But you're right. But it's the same
risks
thing.
are high.
It's the same thing on the Republican side with Trump. If the powers that be are scared of Trump because, gosh, we like his policies, we like what he does, but can he win?
No,
if he doesn't.
I'm saying that if Joe Biden, the concern that I would have if I were the Democrat Party right now is I don't know that he can make it. Hell, from a physical standpoint,
like he can't actually get to the finish line.
No, not another 4 years.
Well, I don't know that they
everybody knows
care.
that.
Past the election, I don't think they care.
Well, he's not going to be on a main stage making the case to the American people.
That we know.
And convincing them
Right.
of that. I saw an article on The Messenger I was reading through, and it was talking about how the Democrats really need to consider putting Barack Obama on the ticket to be the vice president.
Oh,
hold on tight, folks. It's going to get wild and crazy. Let's take a quick break. More Annie Frey Show when we come back. Make sure you vote on that YouTube live chat poll. Ryan is... How are you doing? I'm going to check here real quick.
I haven't looked yet, but I think I'm doing pretty good.
Not quite 200 votes. It's not there yet. I don't know, Ryan. I don't know if you're going to make it.
Half hour to go. I need 27 votes.
Mm-hmm.
I think we can do that.
You said 300.
Well, I need 127 votes then.
Go to the Annie Frey YouTube channel and tell us, do you feel comfortable telling folks about the Annie Frey Show? Let us know what you think and leave a comment as to why. We'll be back in just a minute. Don't go away.
The Annie Frey Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
Let's talk about Slim 180 and how they can help you lose weight. They're helping me lose weight right now. The semaglutide that a lot of people are talking about. This is a injection that people are taking to lose weight. It's helping me, and it can help you as well. And if you want to be able to afford it at a much better level than at the pharmacy, you go to Slim 180, and they can put you on a plan that involves this, that is healthy, that's going to get you to the place that you've been trying to reach with the assistance and the accommodations from Slim 180. They're so helpful when it comes to sitting down and helping you learn how the weight got put on, but also helping you get the weight off. They're going to walk you through that whole process so that you feel comfortable and confident in your ability to lose the weight once and for all. They also have a crave programming, which involves phentermine. It helps curb your appetite for better success to lose weight. And a nutritional guidance program that gives you the one-on-one counseling, individualized attention, and they help clients reach their own goals with accountability, trained professionals that help with that weight loss that you've been seeking out. I'm doing it, and I would love for you to see how it can help you succeed as well. Mention the Annie Frey Show when you contact them. Go online to myslim180.com.
Cardinals baseball is in full swing.
Right center field, a grand slam for Nolan Gorman.
With the free Odyssey app, local fans can listen live all summer long, whether you're at the grill or at the pool.
And it's a goner! An opposite field home run for Wilson Contreras.
Cardinals baseball. Cardinals announcers. Streaming live on the free Odyssey app. AUDACY. Get in the game and download it today.
As the familiar tune fills the air, joy radiates along with the heat of flickering flames. You make a wish for another year surrounded by the ones you love. With each passing year, the compassionate team at Prairie Cardiovascular will be by your side with heart care that allows you to focus on what matters most. A life well lived. Prairie Cardiovascular, here with you.
Hello, I'm Howard Mackler, founder of Innovation Refunds. You've heard me talking about the payroll tax refund for months. I'm so proud that we've helped over 15,000 businesses claim over $5 billion in cash incentives. If you own a business, even if you've asked your CPA about this, you owe it to yourself to take another look. Every client is assigned a licensed and insured tax attorney who evaluates your company at my expense to accurately determine eligibility. Innovation Refunds has hundreds of 5-star reviews on Trustpilot and Google, and your business might be entitled to receive up to $26,000 per employee. Businesses of all types can qualify, including medical, professional, construction, even nonprofits. Please don't miss out on this. Even your doctor would tell you to get an expert second opinion, and we do a lot of work for doctors. Download the Innovation Refunds app now or go to getrefunds.com to potentially get a payroll tax refund of $26,000 per employee. Getrefunds.com. Getrefunds.com.
Did you know the IRS is a super creditor? Hi, I'm Lance Drury with the Lance Drury Law Firm. The IRS is the only creditor that can create a bill for you without your permission, then drop the hammer and aggressively collect it by wiping out your bank account, seizing your assets, and levying your wages. No other creditor can do that, and this can all happen without a court approval. If you owe back taxes, you need to be prepared to face the super creditor. Don't just sit back and take it. Fight back. At the Lance Drury Law Firm, we know how to use the laws to your advantage and go toe-to-toe with the IRS. Our office is located right here in St. Louis. Contact the Lance Drury Law Firm today for a free consultation with me, or visit us at lancedrurylaw.com or call 314-260-6120. That's 314-260-6120 to get started.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Air Comfort Service is hiring licensed journeymen. Don't have a journeyman license? Air Comfort Service will help you get it. Get guaranteed hours year-round and more. Apply online at aircomfortservice.com.
Want to listen to 97.1 outside the listening area? There's an app for that. Download the Odyssey app, and one tap will turn the station on. The Odyssey app for 97.1 FM Talk. You're listening to The Annie Frey Show.
Come with me now. Come with me now.
We're off the air here, and we're trying to get some things back in order, but Brad was whispering. The microphones weren't open.
I think he was concerned that you were going to start talking, and then right when you started, he was going to be like, hey, Ryan, can you hand me that paper?
But I think you had your headphones on, because I was going, what are we doing?
I didn't know. I didn't know what we were doing.
Everybody was out of place, and Brad's going,
he's whispering loudly.
The paper. The paper. I'm like, what do we need to do with the paper? But I think the music was too loud. Are we good?
Yes.
There's a big development. Massive development in my life.
Oh, in your life.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I sent you a text message before.
Oh, yeah. Okay, before the show.
I got a new phone maybe a month ago. I got it right before we went to Disney. And it's the Samsung Ultra something or other.
Mm-hmm.
And I am an Android user. I'm not confessing to anything because I proudly would refer to myself as an Android user.
Okay.
From what I understand, Android users in a group text to Apple people is problematic.
I think group texting in general is problematic.
No, with you there, buddy. But if the three of us here, you guys are both Apple users, you both have iPhones. If I am in a group text with you, what is it about me that is so offensive as far as the texting goes?
Well, first of all, the bubbles are green instead of blue, and that bothers me.
So it's just the color of the blue of the bubble that causes these very sensitive people to be so hurt?
That is really, I don't know. Sometimes it gets screwed up and it just doesn't play well with one another, but it's just, I don't know. I don't know if iPhone just doesn't do SMS group texts
Apple for sure is like, we ain't playing.
No.
In general. I say this as somebody, for the record, who I love my MacBook Pro. Wouldn't use anything other than a MacBook Pro personally.
It is their business model. It's like we're exclusive.
Yeah, we're a cult.
We do extensive quality control, so you can't just have an app from anywhere like you can on an Android or something like that. It's just Apple being Apple.
Yeah, and you're an Apple user.
I've got an iPhone. Yeah,
but you prefer PC?
I do now because I play games. You can't play games on a Mac.
Correct. So we are the inverse here. Android phone user, MacBook Pro, love them both. Happy to be one foot in each camp. So my new phone has a new messaging system on it. And I can now, if we're in our group chat here, if Ryan says something, well, I should probably say it this way. If Brad says something and I want to give it a thumbs up.
Can you do thumbs down?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, I can.
So if Ryan says something and
If I want to thumbs up something that you guys say or put a heart on it or a laughing face, I can now react in a group chat from my Samsung Galaxy 23 Ultra, whatever it is. I can now participate in these reactions. Whereas previously, I would be in a group chat and it would be like, Ryan liked your liked, and then it rewrites the entire text that you liked. So if you got a dozen people in a group chat and I'm an Android user and everybody goes in and confirms, yes, that's good with me with a thumbs up, instead of collecting thumbs up on that message, I get a dozen people where it says Brad liked and then it pastes the message. Ryan liked and it pastes the message over and over again. So now I tested this theory in our group chat and I put a thumbs up on it and it just shows up on the message like you Apple people receive. What happened to yours on your iPhone?
No. Go back up in our chat to the one where I said I had to pay you back for some of the stuff from our trip. I've had a check in my wallet for days. Like that, and let me see what happens. Because I think it's still doing what you said you hate.
Done.
Okay. Let me see what happens.
So I just thumbsed up Ryan's message. He said, I've had a check in my wallet for days. Remind me to give it to you tomorrow.
Yes. Okay. There it is. It just put the thumbs up emoji, 2, and then the entire message again.
So we did it to you.
What?
That's awesome. Because now people who have iPhones are now receiving what Android users.
Oh, so that's what you've been doing the whole time.
That's what we've been experiencing for the whole time.
You didn't know that?
But no, it's so annoying. But Apple wouldn't work. Apple wouldn't figure out a way to work with whatever Android users were doing. They said no. So Android figured out a way to make it so that we can see things right, but now you have to see.
Oh, no.
So it's going to be a worse experience for Apple users. Sorry, guys. That's hilarious.
Well, actually, I will say Apple is so snooty about being exclusive about everything, and every other company is cool with working with each other, that I'm fine with forcing Apple to work with other companies.
I just don't think they're going to do it. And it frustrates me.
do.
I just wish it would. What?
They're not going to do it. Apple's not going to play ball.
Now, if they found a way to make Apple users mad about it, though, which this is annoying.
This is going to be super annoying for you guys, and it's been annoying. It's just been something that I have come to live with. And on my new phone, when I started using this message application that was on my new Android phone, I thought it was something that we just got past. I didn't realize that it was doing this to Apple users now.
So whenever we like it on yours, do you just get the thumbs up?
Yes.
Okay.
They fixed it on the Android, and now because we can provide reactions to you guys, your messaging client now just articulates the whole thing in a message.
So if I like your message now from an Android phone,
it just sends a thumbs up. That's all it does.
Yeah. Puts a thumbs up on my message.
It sends a thumbs up. Oh,
no,
so it shows
puts
up
it on the
like it
message.
should
Well,
between Brad and I.
Mm-hmm.
It shows up the way you've always seen it as an Apple user. But I've never had that before on mine.
So they basically
flipped the
fixed
switch.
it on your end and made it worse for people who are not using their product. Just like Apple's always done.
Yeah, but there's nothing they can do because Apple won't work with it.
I understand.
So our Apple won't, their technology is proprietary and stuff like that. It just doesn't play well with other technologies, and they want it that way.
What they think is going to happen here is that you guys are going to shame me into getting an iPhone.
That is not what's going to happen.
But they don't know me.
There is no shaming you into anything.
Oh, hey. Probably
There's
not
no
true.
way.
That's probably true. Yeah, you're right.
And the only way to get you to do something is if I nicely asked you and maybe was tearing up. And you just were like, oh.
Your tears wouldn't persuade me. Maybe we just go back to the part where you nicely ask me, and maybe that's all it takes.
Maybe.
Which doesn't require shame, just kindness.
Right. Yeah. If there's any sort of pressure involved, you're like, nope, not going to respond to that. So I knew you were never going to get an iPhone.
You were Ryan. You were the epitome of what's everybody want me to do. That's what I'm not going to do.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's very true. But I have to know it, and I'm easily fooled. Like, you guys could
Also
make something
true.
sound like I had the idea, and I would believe you. Like, if you said, Ryan, remember when you had that idea that you were going to do Wiggins America at 1:45? I'd be like, oh, yeah, of course I did. And I would just do it. You know that that's true.
You're easy to fool.
Yeah. Remember that time you told me that you were getting sick of iPhones and you wanted to switch to an Android, Ryan? I'd be like, no, but I believe you.
Sounds good. Let me know what I'm buying.
Yeah.
Let's take a quick break. I'm curious to know how many of y'all out there, maybe we'll have to do that as a poll sometime, Android versus
Yes.
app, iPhone. What do you think our audience is? I could make a case that they're a majority either.
I'm going to guess majority Android.
I'm going to call it 55-45 Android.
Tomorrow poll?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, I'll write it down. Let's take a quick break. When we get back, we'll talk about today's YouTube live chat poll. Do you feel comfortable telling folks about the Annie Frey Show? I'll explain how it goes when I tell people what I do for a living when we come back. Don't go away.
You're listening to The Annie Frey Show. Follow Annie on Twitter @Annie Frey Show.
Jen Teske with Remax Alliance, online at Jen Teske, Teske, JenTeskeHomes.com. She is dedicated to helping her clients find the home of their dreams. And working with Jen Teske, you quickly understand why people, the next time they have the opportunity to buy or sell a home, they go straight to Jen because she knows the market. She understands good business and realty, and she is there to make sure that your experience is an incredibly positive one. You're going to become an ambassador for Jen Teske with Remax Alliance. You can call her or you can text her. It doesn't matter when you're looking to buy or sell a home. If it's in the near future, if it's within the next 12 months or so, connect with Jen Teske and start the conversation right now. She'll provide you with the information you need to present your home the best way possible to get top dollar without having to spend too much money on things that aren't going to bear the fruit that you need in that home sale. Start the conversation today. Call her or text her at 618-541-1010. That's 618-541-1010. You can find her online at JenTeskeHomes.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements.
When children were being fatally injured by window blind cords, Honor Law took on the manufacturers to have dangerous cords banned.
Call Onder Law Personal Injury Lawyers at 314 or 618-9000000.
I had a nighttime routine for my frequent heartburn. I would drink milk, I would sleep upright with more pillows, but that painful burning stayed. So I made Prilosec OTC part of my morning routine. With just one pill each morning, Prilosec OTC prevents excess acid production, blocking heartburn day and night. Now I have a new nighttime routine. I call it sleeping.
One pill a day, 24 hours, zero heartburn. With Prilosec OTC. It's possible while taking Prilosec OTC. Use as directed for 14 days to treat frequent heartburn, not for immediate relief.
When I can't sleep, my mind just races. I think about work, the kids, but I don't think about taking melatonin because I'm afraid I'll feel groggy in the morning.
ZzzQuil Pure Z's Gummies has an optimal dose of melatonin for no next-day grogginess, so you can fall asleep naturally and wake up feeling refreshed. ZzzQuil Pure Z's Gummies for better sleep like never before. And try Pure Z Sleep plus Next Day Energy with melatonin plus extended-release B vitamins.
This is an important notice to consumers facing $10,000 or more in credit card debt, medical bills, or other unsecured debt. You may not be required to pay it all back because there are special programs now in effect that will significantly reduce the amount you will owe if you qualify. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. These programs, which the credit card companies like to keep secret, exist to aid American consumers struggling with overwhelming credit card debt by offering tremendous savings and real debt relief. Accredited Debt Relief has established a special hotline for you to call and learn what savings you qualify for. They've helped qualify consumers with over $1 billion in debt and are A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau. So don't wait. Get the relief you need during these hard economic times. For this free information, call the Accredited Debt Relief Hotline now. Call 800-873-7171. 800-873-7171. 800-873-7171.
For the first time since 2020, the third edition of the Karen's Cup. Beginning June 3rd, players will compete for a $180,000 prize fund. This tournament features 10 of the top female chess players in the world, including returning champion Humpy Koneru, along with top-rated American Irina Krush. It's one of the most decisive classical tournaments in chess that you won't want to miss. Catch all the action on the St. Louis Chess Club YouTube and Twitch channels.
If you want to know what's going on in the news today, you can get caught up in about 10 minutes by rewinding in the Odyssey app to 12:26. Marc Lotter was on the show, talked with Annie about everything that you might have missed over the weekend. The time right now, 2:43. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
The Mark Reardon Show.
Scott Warman, Bally Sports Midwest.
This Cardinal team has too much talent, and one of the things that really shows the talent is their offense. And we saw that during their good stretch in May.
Weekdays from 3 to 6.
St. Louis's home for conservative talk.
This is the Annie Frey Show. Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
This song is written about you, Ryan Wiggins.
Oh, it is? I didn't know. I was just looking at the camera and feigning that it was. Hello. Hi. Hello. Done.
You're so wrong. How was your trip?
It was fun, although my kids are 9, and almost 6.
Is that the sad part?
And they are just, we went to the Creation Museum and the Ark Encounter in northern Kentucky near Cincinnati. And we wanted to go to those for a while. We thought the kids would be old enough. They're not quite old enough yet. It's a lot of reading. It's almost a well-presented study on the things.
Is it possible that kids can't be entertained by museums anymore unless it's just saturated with technology?
Yes, it is possible. And our kids are pretty well read, and they have, a pretty good amount of focus, and it was like, you're not going to do 3 hours of this.
I mean, there's a lot of technology there, though.
There is. And so it wasn't like they were bored. It was just that we had to move too fast through all of it to really, as adults, take in the message.
Did you take in everything else Northern Kentucky has to offer?
Yeah, I mean, there's hills, there's a couple of dairies.
I love that you mentioned dairies. You know the Kentucky ice cream story in my family?
No.
Oh, so, Kentucky ice cream.
Let me preface this with saying, hi, kids. You might be listening right now. I think we went to Holiday World.
Southern Indiana.
Close to Kentucky.
Yeah.
Our hotel was too far from Holiday World. And so we stayed very close to the Kentucky border. And we were looking around. I don't even remember where we stopped to eat next to our hotel. And we were looking around for a treat. It's vacation. Let's go get some ice cream. And we weren't able to find any around us. So we were going to have to go a little bit further. The kids were getting kind of sad. So we said, and you guys know about Kentucky ice cream.
I remember this story now.
So we went 40 minutes into Kentucky.
Louisville.
To get, I don't know if it was Louisville, but we went to get Kentucky ice cream. And when we told the kids, guys, wait, we know this is taking a while, but have you ever had Kentucky ice cream? They're like, no, I don't think we have. And so we went and we found the best, most original Kentucky ice cream we could at Culver's. And Kentucky ice cream came up yesterday in conversation because it's Kentucky ice cream.
I'll tell you what, it's real.
It's delicious.
And let me tell you why I know that now.
It's there.
Because
in Kentucky.
We split our stay up between 2 different Airbnbs. One of them was on a farm. And at that farm,
You stayed at a farm?
Yeah, we did. and it's a real working dairy farm. And that's part of the appeal of staying there. I had never had, in all of my trials and travails of life, fresh milk.
We've talked about this on the air, I think, before, because I have a friend who's a dairy farmer, and we talked about going out there. You've done this?
Now I have.
Was it everything you hoped it would be?
Here's the deal. It was so real.
I don't know if I want to know the story.
So she gave me probably close to a half gallon.
How fresh?
It was just, what do you call it?
It's called an udder.
Milked. It was just milked that morning, I believe, or the day before. And
was it cold?
It was cold. Well,
okay.
they had put it through that homogenization machine.
Pasteurization?
So, no, not pasteurization, just the machine.
Yeah, dummy.
Gosh.
You should have seen the look of just disdain on Ryan's voice.
No, it was just the machine that they put all the milk in and just kind of turns it around.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they're homogenizing it. She opened the machine.
Stop talking with your expert voice.
Sorry, I'm sorry. I'm an expert now. I've done it. What am I supposed to do? Not talk in my expert voice? She opened the machine and showed me that it was fresh. Like I just pulled this out this morning. It was cold, and I was holding it like it was the Holy Grail. I was like, oh my gosh, I've never had, and I love milk, and I've never had milk that fresh.
Yeah.
So
why don't you marry it? And he's trying to figure out how he can.
Yeah. And she gave me, and so my son, I was saying
finish his sentences.
wanted to go play on the playground, and I'm like, yeah, you go do that. And he goes and plays on the playground. I basically ran back to our place where I could get a cup, poured it in there, took a huge cup of milk down, did another one, huge cup down, had shaken it because she said cream rises to the top. You're going to get a lot of cream if you don't shake it. So I did, but it was super creamy. And I couldn't believe it. I had never had that fresh of milk before. Within 5 minutes, my stomach hurt pretty bad, which means that it was so fresh that my stomach was not used to having real fresh milk because I couldn't handle it.
How did it taste?
It was amazing. It was
Worth
amazing.
Would you drink it again now?
Yeah. Well, I had to, throughout the whole trip, that was at the very beginning of the trip we got that. I had to kind of pace myself by having half cups because it was hurting my stomach.
A little rich.
Yeah, it was very rich and very real. And man, it was great.
What do you compare it to?
I would compare it to probably not quite a half and half, but a heavier creamed milk. And it would separate. You could see stuff in it, like little clumps and stuff in it that it sounds terrible, but that's what fresh milk has. And it was, oh my gosh, I would drink that all the time. It was $10 for probably
even though it made
a half
you sick.
gallon. Yeah, but it was so much better. I think I would get used to it. My stomach's just not used to having that fresh of milk or that heavy of milk.
Nobody's is.
Well, apparently you guys have had that and it didn't kill you, though.
I've never had it.
You've never had that fresh?
No.
Oh, I thought that was the whole point of our last conversation was that you had and you wanted to introduce me to it.
Did I know a very successful dairy farmer who would allow us to go there. That doesn't mean that I've drank that milk before.
Atu?
Atu? I have.
Atu.
Atu, I think Atu
I have.
was
No, it didn't make my stomach upset.
So you've had that fresh of milk, though?
Yeah.
And it didn't hurt you?
Yeah, it was like at a state fair, but yeah.
Yeah, that was the highlight of the trip for me, even more than the Creation Museum and the Ark. That was such an experience.
Had you ever seen the Creation Museum and the Ark before?
No, first time.
Is the Ark breathtaking to see?
That's the best thing about it, is when you walk up, you realize if this is really, and that's
it's built
what it
to
is,
spec, right?
This is the dimensions that God gave Noah, and you're looking at it going, that took what, 75 to 100 years for a guy to build with no power tools or anything? Of course, that is why it took so long. It's impressive to see. But that's the best part of it, is walking up and seeing how darn big this thing is.
Now, whenever I went there, they park you kind of in a parking lot and you get on a bus, and the bus takes you and there's almost a reveal of it. And you're like, holy cow.
It's like the Millennium Falcon.
Not quite that cool.
The Ark's way bigger than the Millennial Falcon.
Much bigger, but
I can tell you that.
You want to do the YouTube poll results? See if people love you? The
results are... Hannah, do you have anything to say for yourself?
Forget about Hannah.
Just for today.
She can see you right now.
I know.
She's
don't
working
say
hard
that
on the
because
Marc
she can
Reardon
see.
show.
She's actually glaring at me.
Can you feel it?
I looked over and she was already glaring. Like it didn't even. There was no time lapse. She was just staring at me.
Marc Reardon Show is going to be on YouTube today, so get on the Marc Reardon Show YouTube channel and say hi to Hannah.
She's still staring.
Yeah,
it's weird how she doesn't blink. Here are some of the comments from today. Do you feel comfortable telling folks about the Annie Frey Show? Yes, with like-minded folks.
Stop it.
Yes,
folks,
with everyone.
Folks.
No, I'm not comfortable sharing. And no, I just like to hate listen. Amber says, I absolutely love the AFS, even though I'm actually left-leaning politically.
Yeah, Amber.
Listen to your show as much as possible.
Thanks for being here.
That's super cool.
We appreciate you.
Sheepdog says, when I tell people I listen to the AFS, they usually say figures.
What does that mean?
I don't know. Please clarify what that means.
Figures.
Dawn says, I don't like missing an episode. I love you guys. I would shout it from the mountaintops. AFS is the best.
Thanks, guys.
You haven't lived until you listen.
That sounds excessive.
That sounds like my mom. Thanks, Mom.
Did anybody talk about hate listening?
There were a couple people who, lean left, but Scooter says voted yes with everyone in today's poll. So nobody says hate listen. Brandon says, I make my wife listen to AFS highlights every night if she wants to or not.
She's hate listening.
Yeah, she is.
She's the 7% in here right now that are hate listening.
There you go. Usually starts with, you aren't going to believe what Wiggins said.
At some point, do they start believing it?
A good question. Please answer these questions in the YouTube live chat poll.
YouTube.
Diane says, I've listened to the Annie Frey Show since the pandemic began. Unfortunately, in society now, it's a bit trickier to voice your opinion about politics. Really love the show. Keep up the good work.
Thanks.
So a lot of these kind of comments. Couple more. Andrew says, I share Annie's show. Jaded Zelda says, I tell everyone how much I love the show. Yeah. Thanks, Jaded Zelda.
Scooter commented this, and I'm seeing it myself on Twitter. A little news break before we get to the results here. Chris Sununu says he will not seek the Republican nomination for president in 2024. The stakes are too high for a crowded field to hand the nomination to a candidate who earns just 35% of the vote, and I will help to ensure this does not happen. It's weird that his announcement that he's not running for president was to attack another Republican and not to say we need to beat Joe Biden.
Right.
It makes me feel like he was so close to winning that nomination.
Yep. Just at the last second, pulled out. Annie Frey YouTube poll says that, yeah, I know. It says that, do you feel comfortable telling folks about
We said
the
if
Annie
people
Frey Show?
really loved you that you'd get 200 votes, and they've gotten you right up to 194.
We got 5 minutes left, you guys.
No, I'm going to
194.
end it here shortly.
Yeah. With overwhelming majority, 65% say yes with everyone.
Yay. Thanks, guys.
And then yes with like-minded folks says 24%. No, I'm not comfortable sharing at 4%. And then in between that one. So above 4%. I'm doing this.
You're never doing
Hannah,
this again.
just
Except
do
for
this
tomorrow.
again tomorrow.
Except for tomorrow. She's not here tomorrow.
Hannah, you can have this back, but it says, no, I just like to hate listen is at 7%.
Yeah. You're going to allow her to have it back?
Whatever she wants. I don't care. Hannah, you can do this. I'm obviously bad at it.
All right. Well, we appreciate you for being with us here today. And anytime you share our show with your friends and family, we're grateful for it. We know that it's not always the thing you talk about, but if you do, we appreciate it. The Marc Reardon Show is coming up next right here on 97.1 FM Talk. Make sure you get on their YouTube channel and go say hi to Hannah over there and the rest of the crew, of course, on the Marc Reardon Show. Coming up next on 97.1 FM Talk.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
We've been here 30 years, 30 Christmases in this house, and we have the traditions that most families have.
That's Terry talking about her experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We did Rhino Shield 14 years ago, and the house still looks the same as the first day. Rhino Shield really worked with me to help me get just the right nice soft yellow, and it's 14 years later, and it's the same color.
The main reason Terry called Rhino Shield is because it's backed by its 25-year transferable warranty.
It just sounded wonderful that we could have the house coated with Rhino Shield and not have to worry about it again for 25 years.
Take it from Terry. Give Rhino Shield a call now for a free evaluation. 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO. Or visit 877-25rhino.com.